Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the VR link. Look who we've got today. We've got new faces, fresh faces. They're so eager. How is everyone in the chat? Thank you for joining. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 3 of the VR Link. This is your weekly podcast where you can find us live Wednesdays on YouTube at 8 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. EST, and 12 p.m. PST. On this show, we discuss the latest news, games, and goings-on within virtual reality. My name is GT from Gamertag VR, and alongside me is my co-host, Matt from BMF. How you doing, Matt?
I am great. Hope everybody in the chat is doing well. I'm excited. I'm really excited for this week.
Yeah, we got some hype to talk about, which is kind of the reason Mike's joined me this week as well. So, this week we are kind of joined by Mike from the VR Oasis. How you doing, Mike?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for inviting me on the show. And yeah, I just wanted to join because I'm just very excited about this week's news. And I know you're very excited about it too, GT. So I think it'd be an interesting conversation.
Very, very, very excited. And we've also got Sean from Render Reality. How you doing, man?
Doing good. I'm excited to be here. I'm amongst three legends today, so I'm a little nervous. You know, that's on another level here, but I'm excited, man. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait.
How can you be nervous with that beard, mate? You have got.
I hide behind it, so it does help a little bit.
You have got the ultimate.
I've got beard envy looking at Sean right now. This is what I could become in the future if I try hard.
I need to flip you, Mike. I need to flip you.
You can flip me. You can flip me anytime you want, mate.
I'm trying. That's it, right? That one. Hold on. I've got you facing. You're basically facing nowhere. Right, hold on a minute. There he is.
Staring into the void. That sounds about right.
I'm just talking to this wall. How you doing? Yeah. So everyone in the chat, thank you all for joining us today. Who have we got? Let's give some shout outs. Rocksteady, Tall Paul, Guyson, Max the Boss, Mysterion, Bob the Builder. Do you remember who was the carrot guy? What was his name?
I have no idea.
There was a carrot guy. He used to talk, "Hello, Bob." He used to be like, he's a horrible voice. I knew a guy who talked like that. Arcanian, how you doing? Jeff Bob, Adam Hartz or Wormsworth. Guy Son. Nice. Guy Son. Do you guys play as Guy Son when you play like Street Fighter or Final Fight and stuff?
Oh, mate, I suck at Street Fighter and those fighting games. I'm so bad at them.
Anyone else?
Only one I was ever good at was Tekken. I couldn't play Street Fighter.
Don't be embarrassed about Tekken, mate. Tekken's probably one of the harder ones actually to get those combos. Like Street Fighter is really quite simple. What about you, Sean? You keeping quiet?
Man, I haven't played Street Fighter in a long time. I don't even remember all the characters, to be honest, but I definitely played it when I was younger, but it's been a while. I can't remember what character I used. Probably all of them.
You know Ryu and Ken?
Yeah.
That's where you can stay on the show.
Yeah, there you go.
And Chung Lee. And yeah, so Mr. CT, how are you doing? Hard to get. And as Hwang. Yeah, that sounds a bit Tekken-y, doesn't it? Shadow Liam, Boy Brown. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. Ready Player Rick yourself and everyone else in the chat. Let us know what you've been playing this week. And because we're going to tell you what you might be playing in the next week or so, because there is a shit ton of games that have suddenly just appeared. And everyone's like panicking behind the scenes. Everyone's running around like they're on fire, going, when am I going to have time to cover this crap? Unfortunately, I forgot the logo, but this week we are sponsored by the Virtual Athletics League, VAL, and I'm going to quickly play their little thing in the middle. Boom, there it is. In the middle. Yeah, so VAL is working with 30 plus game developers to run the VR Winter Olympics. There are plenty of tournaments and contests to enter. There is a prize pool of over $15,000 and there is Oculus Quest 2s involved in the giveaways as well. It started on February the 19th and runs to March the 20th, and the different games have different start dates. So what you want to do is you want to head to the One Arena portal, which is in this video description. If you go there, you will see basically like a calendar. It shows you all the different games, when you need to participate in the events. And each of them games, when it says $15,000, it's divided over all these different games. And like this week I played Swordsman. Mike, you've been involved in this already, haven't you?
Yeah, we played Propagation VR co-op mode together, and that was an absolute blast. That was sponsored by Val, and they're running a competition for that game as well. So you can jump in there with a friend. If you rank on the leaderboards, you get cash prizes. And I think it's great that they're doing this for the community. You know, it's something very different. We've not really seen this before. They did do it a year ago for like the summer games. So I think it's great that they're doing it, and they're coming back for the VR winter games. I think it's awesome.
Absolutely, man. That's what it's all about. And as I said, I've said it a couple of times, but being part of a tournament before actually takes you into another community. which is quite interesting as well. You know, you join a new Discord with new people and you play those games and you can make like lasting friendships, which is how I met the Lonely Viper.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is that there's such a range of games that are available through the competition. You've got Pistol Whip as well, The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners. You got some really excellent games in there. So, you know, your favorite game could appear in this. And if that's what you've been playing for so long and you're really good at it, you can actually win some money. And I think it's awesome.
That is, I mean, it doesn't really get much better than that, does it?
No, getting paid to play video games is the dream.
Yeah, not that any of us know what that's like. Yeah, I got a donation earlier. Sorry, thank you, Caleb Law. Lemon character moving in excitement. Thank you ever so much for the $10 US, man. Cheers. Yeah, the stream elements things are now back on. I do apologize. Thank you ever so much for that donations. I hope propagation gets expanded. They did put out a tweet about something today, and I can't remember what it was. But it sounds like that game isn't going anywhere. You know, like. I think what they've done with that propagation is absolutely fantastic. It's when anyone talks about wave shooters now, normally I'm like, dude, I'm sick of wave shooters, but that was just superb.
Yeah, and the fact that the single player version is free is incredible.
Yeah,
because it's so polished, I think. But looking back at the dev history, this was developed for VR arcades originally, and they do actually have more content available. And whether they'll bring that to the public, I don't really know, because they've showed other scenes before. So who knows? But I think, you know, like you say, for a wave shooter, it's the best one you can get. Playing it with a friend, all right, you got to spend $10 each. But personally, I think it's worth it, although it is kind of probably a one and done, and you'll probably never play it again. But you'll probably scream the house down and have a blast doing it, especially if you hate spiders like me.
Absolutely, man, absolutely. So yeah, that is our sponsor this week, the Virtual Athletics League. So thank you ever so much for them for sponsoring the show. I really appreciate it. Let's quickly go through and see what people have been playing, if they've put anything down. I'm not sure. I was a bit like blah, 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 and talking extremely fast. What have you guys been playing? Mike, what have you been playing this week?
Oh, mate. It's all been about Gorilla Tag. It's all been about Gorilla Tag this week. I remember we were talking about it on our show, and Zim mentioned this game, Gorilla Tag, and I was like, "What is this nonsense? Like, God, it's got gorillas in it. It looks rubbish. It looks like it was on PS1." And then
it really does. It really does. When you go in there, it looks like you are in a launch PS1 game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't look particularly great, but it's available for free on SideQuest. It's also available for free on Steam for all PSVR headsets. But it's just such a blast. Basically, you just jump into a little arena, which is like a little forest. One player randomly gets chosen to be infected and then has to chase down and infect the other gorillas. It's like that simple, but it's just hilarious. Everyone's screaming, making gorilla noises, climbing up trees, jumping. The movement is really basic, but, you know, it's quite complex and has a bit of a learning curve to it. But once you get the hang of it, it's really, really fun. So, yeah, definitely go and check out Gorilla Tag. You've literally got nothing to lose. It's a blast.
Mike, in that game, he's so happy to be a monkey, and he's so happy. Honestly, he's like chase me, and he's like, and I'm just shit at it. I am so bad at that game. I can't. You can do one of the really cool things. Mike done a game with his Discord the other day, and I jumped in. You can wall jump like Mario. I was like watching these people fly around. I was like, oh my god, because one of the differences with that game is you can't grip anything, can you? It's you sort of shovel your way around, and yeah, like some people picking up some really like lots of speed, lots of height, and they're hiding atop of trees. And as Mike said, I definitely would check it out. I didn't think it was sort of a piss take for me, because I think Zim said it was Game of the Year, and I was like, no way. No way. Yeah. And then sure enough, I played it and I was like, actually, this is really, really good fun.
Yeah, totally. Like, you know, it just kind of takes you back to that childhood memory of just playing tag in the playground with, you know, your fellow kids and having a blast screaming. That's just basically what it is in gorilla form. It's awesome.
I still haven't tried it yet. I guess I really have to jump in and try it now.
Definitely.
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet either, but I have been watching the videos and it does look fun. But when I first saw it too, I was like, what is this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's one of them games.
Nowhere.
Yeah, there's some of them games, they don't look good, but man, they're a ton of fun. So I'm definitely planning on getting in there. That sounds cool.
And it's free. Like, It's so incredible. It's so
There's
incredible.
cross-platform play with Quest and PC with in-game voice chat. That's pretty incredible
Awesome.
for a free experience.
Yeah, that is. Do you know what? Funny enough, in a lot of multiplayer games, voice chat is one of the things that's always missing.
No.
So that's pretty impressive. What about you, Matt? What have you been playing this week?
Mostly I've been messing around with games that are been submitted to App Lab. People keep sending them to me to try them, so I've been messing around with a whole bunch of different games.
Yeah, talk about your website, man. Talk about your website.
Okay, so questapplab.com is the new site. And it's just a place where people can go and hopefully find some games they want to play. Developers are having a challenge getting people to go to their game because there's no way to advertise it except for doing it themselves, or through platforms like SideQuest, or now the new website. So I'm just helping them by kind of aggregating things, putting new news articles out there when there's a new game, there's a coming soon section, and you can get more information. So it's just kind of a place to support the developers and help them get some traffic and hopefully help people find the games that are actually out there that they don't need a PC to download.
Yeah. Any hidden gems that you've discovered so far from the submissions that you can talk about?
Not. I mean, I love Guardians. It was really cool when I tried that the other day.
Okay.
It's the visuals are pretty basic, but the idea is essentially it's an RTS game with FPS kind of mixed together.
Mm-hmm.
So you're jumping around, placing these pieces around the map while these enemies are coming at you. You have to try to defend your area, but you're also a first-person shooter at the same time. It's co-op, online. You can do PvP. So that's probably one of the favorite ones that I've tried so far.
Guardians, yeah.
Guardians, yeah.
Yeah, I've played that. I played it in an early form, and you could just by going in the menu and stuff. It looked a bit more high quality than a lot of other titles, and yeah,
it's got a lot going on for sure. Yeah, that and
check that out.
AIM XR is really cool too if you like Counter-Strike.
Also, so what I'll do, guys, I'll put the link to Matt's Quest App Lab in the video description, and also Jeff Bob, thank you ever so much. He's one of the mods. He has put the website in the chat right now, so thank you ever so much, Matt. I think your mic might have changed. Does Matt's mic sound the same? Does Matt's mic sound the same as earlier?
Does it sound any different? I don't know. Nothing's changed on my side, I don't think.
No? Am I making it up? I might be making it up. I might be making it up. Yeah, so let's before I get to Sean, we've had another donation. Thank you ever so much for Fab Steez, but thank you guys for all you do for the community. And yeah, we've definitely got like 3 very hardworking people here today. And there's a couple other people as well saying hello. Hello, how you doing? I'm sure they want to wave from everyone.
PD also did a donation too, but you can't see him, so I forgot.
Oh no, yeah, Paradise. Oh, damn it! Excellent, excellent text message, but we don't want it on now. So where have we got? So what have people? Sean, what have you been playing this week, man? What have you been playing?
Well, like you guys know, I've been sick for a little while, so I'm a little bit behind. I'm trying to get back into playing some stuff, but this week I've played some Population 1 because I haven't played in a couple weeks, and I'm definitely rusty, so I want to get ready for that update that is hitting tomorrow. I have played some App Lab stuff. I did like the hockey game, the pickup league hockey. I thought that was pretty cool. Played some Vanishing Grace, and I played some Contractors yesterday too, which I haven't played that in a little while. So that's one of my original favorites for a long time. So it felt good to get back in there. So that's what I've been up to this week.
That's a lot, to be fair.
I had so long that I couldn't play that I've just been trying to get in as much as I can. I missed it. I missed it a lot.
Are you okay? Are you okay? So, if anyone doesn't know Sean, he comes from a YouTube channel called Render Reality, and they do a podcast, and they do other things as well. You do like vlogs, and you do game reviews, and all sorts of bits and bobs. Alternatively, if you obviously don't know this as well, Mike is from his own channel, which is absolutely huge, but he also does F Reality podcast every Saturday. So, and you do yours on a Saturday as well, Sean, don't you?
Yeah, Saturday morning.
Whoa! Yeah. Look at that cup.
Yeah, this is the OG Gamertag cup. You can't even get this one anymore. It's not available anymore.
Rare collector's item.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my god, that's
I have one of the new ones here, but it broke in shipping, so I don't have. I could use it. But...
Oh man, that's terrible. Dang.
Didn't pass the Gamertag seal of approval. Each and every bit of merchandise I test, that cup I would have hit to make sure it was sturdy and stuff. Yeah, so let's have a look at the chat, see what people have been playing. Simply Chris, who is another fantastic member of the VR content creators. This week so far, it's been PokerStars VR, and about to do some good old blade and sorcery. Nice. He does some fantastic videos over there. Also, is it Sean or Sean? I believe. Oh, I've put bloody Sean at the top wrong. Do you know what? I knew I had somewhere. I was actually checking all my notes and everything. I've spelled your name wrong.
Where?
Don't worry about it. You can't see it.
I was
It's
gonna
fine.
say it's right on. Okay, yeah. I don't know where it is, but that's
No, I
okay. You
didn't.
can spell it.
No,
You can spell it any way you want. I get different ways all the time, so
I didn't.
no hard feelings.
I didn't spell it that way. Yeah, Stefan, I've not played VR since November. Waiting for the 8KX, so I'll play like a madman again when it arrives. The 8KX? What is that? That bloody... Is that
Max.
Pimax. He's one of the Pimax crew. Interesting. What else we got in the chat here? Tanner Nielsen, how do I download Gorilla Tag? Head over to Steam. Type in Gorilla Tag. That's it.
Yeah, or side quest. Yeah, hopefully it comes to App Lab soon. Hopefully. Matt will be the first to know. He'll let you know.
Get to the chopper says the beard Nanza. Yes, this is a very beardy podcast today. It's very hairy. Gamer Chick says, I think Gorilla Tag is as fun as the people you play it with. This is true of Bullet Roulette. Do you know what? I tried to get some people to play Bullet Roulette and no one really wanted to back in the day. It's just come to PSVR, so I think it's suddenly got a bit more of a voice and it's getting some more notice. So that's pretty cool. Onike is checking the trailer on Steam. Reminds me of B tier PS2 game. Yeah, it is a. It's not. It's weird. Gorilla Tag isn't about the graphics, that's for sure. Not at all. Looking forward to the climb too. Yeah. So, Charles Mallory, just want to say it's good to see you guys healthy and smiling. Yes. Someone did mention something about being muted. Where was that? He did sound a little muted to me. Yeah, I thought Matt did sound a little bit more quiet than normal, but we're gonna get there. So, we're here to talk about PSVR. First of all, that is what we're here to talk about, because yesterday, I think it was, a tweet went out from, I can't remember his name, some massive guy in PlayStation, that more than 4 years ago, we launched PlayStation VR to offer a transformative new way to play games on PS4, providing a much stronger sense of presence and deeper immersion to players compared with traditional games. In that time, we've seen tremendous experiences that have propelled virtual reality gaming forward, including the highly acclaimed titles like Astrobot, Tetris Effect, Blood and Truth, Moss, Beat Saber, and Resident Evil 7, which you still cannot play in VR anywhere else. I know Paradise is going to say, but what about Vorpex? I know.
No.
It's not the same.
No, it's not the same.
He thinks it's better. He actually said to me it's better. I don't think it's better.
No.
Sorry, PD.
I'm not a big fan of Vorpex. I know other people are, but I'm not a big fan of it.
No, I'm not. And some people have told me that it's because... Basically, I'm not a fan of it because of messing around with the settings so much.
Yeah.
You know, like, I get in there and I think in some ways it could make people feel quite ill very quickly, you know, and could do more damage than good. But fair play to everyone who's got things running on there. What about you guys? You tried Vorpex? Do you have much experience with Vorpex at all?
I haven't tried it. I don't plan on it, considering what I've heard about it.
Right.
Yeah, I've played around with it some, but I haven't spent much time with it. Honestly, I just don't have the time. Like, I mean, I work full time, you know, have a wife, you know, family and stuff. And so when I want to play VR, I just want to jump in. Like, I don't want to mess with settings for an hour and tweak stuff. So, I mean, if I had more time, I think I might, but I'm definitely not that keen on it, to be honest.
Yeah, like PD mentioned recently that he used Vorpex to play Little Nightmares 2 in VR. And, you know, I loved Little Nightmares 2. I just completed it recently. It's such a fantastic game. And that kind of like, I was on the edge a little bit, but then I was just like you guys, I don't want to just spend hours messing around with settings to get it to run. And then it's not quite VR, you know, you're still using a gamepad or whatever. So yeah, I'm just not that fussed about it, to be honest. But yeah, sorry, you're talking about Resident Evil 7.
I was talking about Resident Evil 7. So basically this announcement came out yesterday, and in the meantime, they've basically enhanced some titles on PS4. PSVR games using the PS5, which is pretty cool. With mixed results, I think some people saw changes and some people didn't in certain games, like Blood and Truth, for example. I thought it looked better. I think Mike said he didn't think it looked any different. So
yeah, I tried them side by side, and yeah, it was almost impossible to tell for me the difference.
Yeah, so there you go. My whole video was a waste of time. It's just one big lie.
No,
it was though. It was maybe
for you, but it didn't for me.
It might have been a lie. It might have been a lie. I might have just been, you know, just so hyped that it was happening. And
yeah,
It might have been the first time I played the PSVR on the PS5, and maybe I wanted to see more. So
I
anyway,
think we all did, yeah.
yeah, it was just, I think there was a lot of hopes there, wasn't there? But anyway, so those hopes, talking about hope. So, this particular special guy wanted to share information that the next generation VR system will be coming to PlayStation 5, enabling the ultimate entertainment experience with dramatic leaps in performance and interactivity. Players will feel an even greater sense of presence and become even more immersed in their game worlds once they put on the new headset. We're continuing to innovate with our new VR systems so that our fans can continue to enjoy the unique experiences that are synonymous with PlayStation. We're taking what we've learned since launching PSVR on PS4 to develop a next-gen VR system that enhances everything from resolution and field of view to tracking and input. So before we go into the wired, unwired situation, what are we expecting from this headset when they talk about the things that matter now?
So first, I just wanted to chime in and just say, like, this is like huge news. Like, I am so over the moon about this news. And I think, honestly, it's the best news we've had in the VR scene this year so far, in my opinion. You know, I think even if you're not a fan of PlayStation, if you don't even care about what they're doing in the future of VR, maybe you have a Quest and you've got no inkling or feeling to get a PS5 and a PSVR, this is still huge for the industry. And the reason why is because they were leading the charge before Quest dropped. You know, they sold 5 million headsets. I'm sure Quest has overtaken that now, but they've got an amazing platform. They've got amazing first-party developers, and it's great for those developers to get on board on this new platform and know that VR is growing and the awareness of VR is growing, and it will have probably a bigger impact this time around for them. And it's great for consumers to have more choice. It drives competition, it drives innovation, and honestly, it's just great for everyone. So even if you're not a fan of this, it is huge news, and you should be excited about it too.
We might as well just finish it there because he's just said everything,
Nailed
everything
it.
I would have said.
Yeah.
He's just done it. So yeah, I'm interested to see what other people feel about this as well in the chat, because there was a couple of tweets saying it wasn't really newsworthy, that they kind of already announced it back in October. I must have missed that. Like 100% confirmation of something. I didn't see that.
I think the big confusion was, and certainly I felt the same way about it. And this goes back to October. So in October, Jim Ryan, the CEO of PlayStation, this is basically what he said verbatim. He said, "I think we're more than a few minutes from the future of VR. PlayStation believes in VR, Sony believes in VR, and we definitely believe at some point in the future, VR will represent a meaningful component of interactive entertainment. Will it be this year? No. Will it be next year? No. But will it come at some stage? We believe that." And to me, that was just like, that just sounds like they're just dropping the ball on this. You know, they're stepping away from the market. They're not going to be doing anything imminently. And it was kind of like, it just had a negative vibe to the whole thing. Whereas if you look at the post this week, it's way more positive. There's a lot more energy in it. You know, we both PlayStation VR and the next generation VR system we're building, our commitment to virtual reality as a medium for games is stronger than ever before. And that is a huge statement, which is such a contrast to the previous statement they made. And that's why I think it's exciting. And I didn't expect it at all, because I was like, well, PSVR are out the market for a few years. You know, they'll come back at some point, but there's no urgency. Whereas this seems a bit more hopeful that we might get something sometime in 2022, which I know is still a year away, but at least we have that on the horizon to look forward to. Because, you know, right now, all we have is Oculus, and Oculus do a great job, and the Quest is an amazing headset, and I love it to bits.
Yeah.
But we need more competition in this space. And with Sony and PlayStation coming to the market, having that competition, like I said before, it's great for everyone.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I totally agree. And my first thought, obviously, as a huge fan, I've owned every Sony console since the original. So I love Sony. You know, the PSVR was the first real headset that I jumped into full force. I'd tried other ones before that, but that was the first one that I really just fell in love with and spent a lot of time with. And to hear what they said last year kind of was upsetting to me, because I was so excited to see what the PS5 would do for virtual reality, you know?
Yeah.
So I was obviously, PlayStation hit it out of the park with their PSVR in a lot of ways, not in comparison, obviously, to the numbers of PS4 sold in comparison to PSVR units, but for virtual reality, it was insane. And to hear that they were, it sounded like what Mike said, I figured okay, well, I guess maybe 5 years from now, maybe they'll revisit it, or something like that. That was my thinking. They've dropped it, so now we've got to rely on other people to pick up the ball and try to continue pushing forward. And then what made it even worse is the PS5 came out and the haptic triggers that it has, and it was like, I was like, man, they're not going to do anything with this. This could be absolutely amazing in VR. Why are they not doing this? So the announcement when it first came out, I saw it and I sent a message to you right away, GT, because I was like, oh my word, because we talked about this on the podcast previously when that came out last year. I was like, I have to say something. And then after my initial excitement, I started to think this is really good, not just for the Sony PlayStation, PSVR people, but like Mike said, number one, we need a lot more competition. And I honestly would be happy to see even more companies jumping on board. The more people really in VR, the better, I think, because that's just going to drive innovation. The more competition, the more innovation you get, the more people have to think outside the box to push the limits because they need to be different from somebody else. And then number two, to me, it's a validation a lot more for VR, public validation for the virtual reality platform that we know and love and are inside of this bubble that a lot of people outside of it still don't really understand. And
That's
by
exactly the biggest point for me, is that
Yeah.
they have seen a return and they've seen an interest and gone, because it is all about money. There must be a bit of money. There's got to be money there, and there's got to be something there, and other people will look up and see that tweet and go, hold on, there's obviously something in this. One of the biggest players, or the biggest player back in the day, is now back, and they're going to come back, and it's going to be massive.
Yeah, that's what got me the most excited, was just the idea that these articles obviously come all the time. VR is dead, these ridiculous things, that fluff pieces that have no real information. But then you get a company like Sony that says, oh yeah, watch this, we're going to do this new thing, it's going to push the bar even further, and we're going to integrate all of the awesome stuff we just came out with in this next gen console into it. And I'm hyped about it.
What about you, Sean?
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Same with me. I mean, I'm definitely very excited about it. Like you guys talked about, the competition is a big piece because it's going to drive everybody to do better. It's going to drive everybody's stuff to get better, because when there's competition, obviously that happens. And, for a long time we had HTC and Oculus, with the Rift and the Vive, there was some competition there back and forth, and HTC, they've kind of not done so well lately. So, I mean, really it's been all Oculus. They've had no competition, really. I mean, even new headsets that come out. I mean, you look at the Reverb G2, that's a headset. That's not a platform. You know what I mean? So there's still not, there's only but so much competition. But like you guys, last year, there was all them articles of, people saying the PSVR is dead now, and it's not coming. They're not going to do it. And I was like, well, I don't believe that. I definitely think PSVR 2 is going to come, but it was still a little bit disheartening to be like, oh, it's a ways off and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I think that it's going to be excellent. They have so many big developers and stuff behind the Sony platform that we're going to see. I really think we're going to see some big time AAA games, and that's going to be awesome. And that is one thing that VR has needed for a while. I mean, there's all these great games that come out all the time. They surprise us, like Beat Saber. Out of thin air, kind of this game that just takes over the world. But I think we're going to see some really big stuff out of PSVR 2, I guess I guess I can call it that. I guess they're not officially calling it that yet, but yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. I really do. I'm excited. I'm not a big PlayStation guy. I was originally a PlayStation guy, and then I went to Xbox, and I'd really hoped that Oculus was going to work with Xbox back in the day, when that gamepad came out and stuff, and that didn't happen. So that's what drove me to get into PCVR, and that's what caused me to buy a Rift CV1, because I was sick of waiting. I was like, I'm not waiting any longer. A bundle deal came out with a PC and a headset, and I was all over it. So, and ever since then, I mean, even now I don't have a PlayStation 5, and that's only because they're hard to get and I don't flat game really anymore. So my hope is now, I got some time where everything can kind of settle down. I can pick one up later this year to be ready for hopefully in 2022.
And it looks like behind you, Sean, your obsession with VR hasn't changed.
Yeah, I got a lot of headsets.
Sweet setup.
Yeah.
Sweet setup.
Thank you.
But just wanted to sort of chime in on something that Sean said about it being a platform. And I think that's a key point to make, is that it is a platform. It's not just a headset. It's the same with what Oculus are offering. And it's the same potentially what we might have from Apple in the future as well. And especially because the year is 2022 that, we're likely to see this. I think, talking about Quest 3 rumors just recently, we're likely to see a Quest 3 release, I would imagine, at a similar time, because Oculus will want to take some of that wind out of their sails, especially if they're working on something. And then if you have Apple release something in the same year, you've got these three Goliaths going up against each other. it's going to be awesome watching that from the sidelines.
Yeah,
Oh,
I honestly think Sony was really smart too, because they've sat back for a while now and they've kind of watched what everybody's doing. You know, they didn't jump in and just want to get a headset out with the PS5 or, you know, later on even in the PS4. So they see what's working. They see that it's growing. You know, they see, you know, controller designs that people like, game designs that people like. So I think they're going to put themselves in a very, very good place for when that launches. And like you said, it's probably going to be around the same time as a Quest 3, around there somewhere. So
Definitely. These things always tend to happen like around the same sort of time. But I think with Sony, what they've got in their hand already is that they're established developers that they have on their platform. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Resi 8 is going to be like an exclusive VR title for the next gen headset. You know, Astrobot was one of the most phenomenal platformers in or
Still
out
is.
of VR, full stop. I love that game so much.
Still is.
You know, if a firewall, a next gen firewall came out with a new PS aim controller, I would like literally lose my mind because that game is so awesome. But the problem with the PSVR is, even though I love it so much now, even still now, you know, the hardware feels very dated and it needed a hardware refresh. So, you know, like I said at the beginning, you know, this news is probably the best news that I've had this year so far.
Good. I'm glad you said that, man. Yesterday I sort of got overly excited, went a bit crazy, got a bit emotional actually, and then and I had a bit of, and then like towards the end there was a bit of a thing of like, oh, it's just a bit of clickbait and stuff, and I was like, no, I can't help it. It is the best news since probably actually not the Quest 2. I think the original Quest coming out for me. Like, that's how big this is for me. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, PlayStation started it all. It changed my whole life. Like, no exaggeration. It did change my whole life. That is the reason I'm sitting here today, and I'm sitting here with all of you. Do you know what I mean? In a way.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, and funny thing about PSVR is I have a funny story, is that I was given my PSVR by Nathy. We met at a VidCon in Amsterdam, and he just surprised me with one because I really wanted to play Moss, because I love like platformers, and Moss was just such a stunning game, and I was really jealous everyone was talking about playing it, and then he just gave me one, and I was like, dude, and now I have to go out and buy a PS4 Pro. I was super grateful, and yeah, I've been enjoying PSVR content ever since.
That's what Oculus did to me. They sent me a Rift and I didn't have a PC.
Yeah, Moss in your hand, man. You're like, oh, okay, now I gotta go and do it.
I thought it was a go. I was like, oh wow, look at. I was like, hold on a minute. I better talk to the wife. We're gonna need a loan. So Rapture Ready Production said when PlayStation did their tweet, Oculus even tweeted out "Welcome back."
They did.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that.
That is really cool. I didn't see that. Yeah, so you got lots of people saying they made tons of money. You know, they should go back into it, and I think I don't think many people are surprised that this is happening. You know.
I think I'm just surprised that they're publicly like reinforcing their commitment to VR. I think that's the great thing. We've got something to look forward to that's confirmed. It's rock solid. It's set in stone. We know that's definitely happening now, and I think that's great, because previously there wasn't that much on the horizon to be super excited about, but now I think this is great news. And also just touching on what Matt was saying, you know, about the DualSense adaptive triggers. You know, if it adapts that technology into these new VR controllers, which I think is highly likely, it is a game changer. It's a small thing, but once you've experienced it of playing flat games with these adaptive triggers, you don't really want to play it any other way in the future. It really is a game changer.
This is an interesting comment. Secrets of, he's been on the channel pretty much ever since I started. He's put, my expectations of VR must be a lot lower, as I still love playing the PSVR and I've not had any issues with tracking. I'm not sure. See, that's funny to me. So, like, absolutely honest, as always, the PlayStation VR gets a lot of dust these days. I only really break it out when something new or big happens and I want to check it out. And unfortunately, I think when you then do that and then you check out, like, the Move controllers, for example, I haven't played Saints and Sinners in a long time, and someone asked me in one of my comments, got to try and respond to a lot of comments, they said they're having real trouble with the Move controllers. Can I basically do like a little video or a remapping of how to move and stuff? Dude, I was so confused. I was so confused myself, because I was just not used to it, because I haven't picked it up for a long time. And I think if you're in that ecosystem of PlayStation VR and you're not really going outside of that, that's fine to be that way. Tracking issues they're not the same for anyone, to be honest with you. There's a lot of ways you can fix them. I could have the same exact setup with the same lighting and play Firewall one night and have no issues. And a week later, I'm pretty sure I've got it exactly the same, and the aim controller is just moving around. And
Yeah.
you know,
There can be drift sometimes. You're right, and I think if you're in the PSVR ecosystem, you've never tried any other VR headset, you're fine. But I think we've all been spoiled, and like you say, we're in this minority that have the luxury to try multiple headsets. And when you compare it to like the tracking and the freedom of using a Quest, you know, in room scale environment, it's so much better. It's significantly better experience.
yeah. And I'll still say like PSVR still does good graphics though. It's the
Oh, yeah.
resolution that kind of lets it down. And Hitman looked fantastic, didn't it? In some places, like
Yeah.
even now.
Yeah. And just imagine, just like to sort of like close up my thoughts on this. Imagine if, because Valve have done this before, if they allowed Half-Life Alyx to be released on the PS5, PSVR 2, because we've had like the orange box
I was just
on
going to
consoles
say
in the past.
the VR orange box.
Like that would be like a total game changer for them. It would be incredible, exposing that game to such a broad audience, the PlayStation audience, because it deserves it. You know, it is, in my opinion, one of the best VR games that we have so far. I think that would be really great for the system and for Valve, of course.
So let's sorry, go on.
Oh, I was just kidding. One of the funny things is I was telling my wife about the announcement, and I was reading the announcement to her, and the one thing she picked up on was the single cable. She was very happy to know that it was one cable, and I wouldn't have to have a breaker box or anything else spread around the living room. So I'm going to set it up, because that's my issue, is a small space. So having all the cables run everywhere. I mean, I know that's one big thick cable, but it's still a massively long cable, and you got the box to plug it into, and the other cables to run around the TV into the.
Well,
so I mean,
the breakout box is 4 cables into the back.
Yeah,
it's horrendous.
And then
it's horrendous.
2 coming into one. So, but then funny enough, then someone. So it's weird when you go through Twitter, and I've got to admit, I know a lot of people. If you don't like social media, people can hate Twitter. I actually really like Twitter. I think it's a great place. But people were like, "Dude, PSVR's only got one cable." It kind of has from a certain point to the headset. Yeah, I do agree with that. A lot of people are asking why isn't it wireless? And I think the reason is because they want to give you a high-end experience. That's the reason.
Yeah, wireless is difficult, and you got to understand that
And inconsistent.
even Oculus don't believe in wireless right now. You know, we have wireless because of Virtual Desktop, which, you know, I'm forever grateful for, because it's my favorite way of playing PCVR content on the Quest. But they don't believe in it, and they just rely on a cable as well. And I think it's a safe bet to ensure that your audience are going to have a good time. And I know it's a bit of a bone of contention, but I wouldn't be surprised if some third-party manufacturers figure out a way to make it wireless. You know, we used to have things like, what was it, the TP Cast for the Oculus Rift CV1 back in the day. Some third party might make something similar, and you know, if they do, they'll probably make a lot of money. So if you're thinking about that, maybe start working on it now. You know, some sort of like USB 3 kind of wireless connection, because I'm sure it's going to be USB-C. Sorry. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they've definitely addressed. In my mind, they've told you it's going to be wired. They said they're going to do. They're acknowledging field of view, which means, what's it got now? I think it's the same as Oculus, isn't it? It's like 100.
100.
Yeah.
I think it's right around 100.
So what would you like to see as field of view? Where would you like to see that? Where do you realistically see it being? Considering we're talking in the future, technically, you already know the headset's coming out in 2022. Purely speculation.
For me personally, I think the Valve Index field of view should be the minimum. I think going forward, I think that should be the minimum field of view, just because it just feels better. Yeah, it just feels better. It's not massive, you know, it's not huge, but it just feels better. So I hope going forward, headsets are going to be at least that field of view. I mean, I always hope for more. I want as big a field of view as I can get, but you know, that's obviously not always realistic. So
unless you can move your eyes, yeah, you can move your eyes apart.
Yeah,
you could, I want more. So what is it? Valve Index is 140 degrees, isn't it?
Right around there is what they say.
About that, yeah. And they can do that because the lenses are slightly canted at an angle. So they do some trickery with the lenses, so it's quite hard to pull that off. But yeah, I think something around that would be fine. You know, field of view to me isn't necessarily a bigger deal than resolution or refresh rate. Personally, I find those two things more important than field of view right now. I've tried wide field of view headsets before, and I was kind of a bit disappointed, particularly, it was the Pimax that I tried specifically. But yeah, so I think, like having experienced the Valve Index at 144 hertz, I think that makes a big difference. Makes VR more comfortable, in fact, and I think maybe they'll be looking for a higher refresh rate, maybe 120.
I think the PSVR is 120.
Well, I think they do some trickery.
Yeah.
It's like 60 but boosted to 120 almost. It's artificial.
There
A
you
bit like
go.
what Oculus do with ASW, I believe.
Nice. Yeah, I remember. I actually started reading about the ASW thing. Is because that wasn't a thing before, was it? It was something that actually put in eventually for you guys on your DK1s, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah, it was like a way to artificially smooth frames. So they inject a duplicate frame in between to kind of smooth it out, so you don't get that kind of choppiness. And it's like essential for games that melt your PC, like Microsoft Flight Simulator, for example, which I've been playing around with recently.
Yeah, man. So at least they're to me, I think they're coming out the tracking, field of view and tracking. What are we expecting for tracking? And I think I know what everyone's going to expect, what they think is going to happen.
Well, I mean, I know they have the new camera, but I'm kind of hoping, and my expectation is inside out tracking, because there's been so much going on with that, and it's so much easier to get set up. You don't have to worry about placing the camera, making sure it's the right height, the light hitting the camera the wrong way. It's still susceptible to light inside out, but it's a lot less susceptible than sensors and exterior sensors.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's got to be inside out tracking, really. It's the way the industry is going now. I'm sure there'll still be Valve, and Steam VR headsets that use base station tracking for like the most optimal, perfect experience. But I think for the average consumer, they don't want the hassle of putting up a base station or a tracking camera at the right angle. They just want it to put it on and it works, and remove a lot of that friction of getting VR set up. So I think that's what they'll be aiming for with this product.
You guys have got the base station. Mike and Sean, you've definitely got base stations, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And but you would still prefer inside out tracking?
Definitely,
Yeah.
for the consumer reason, not necessarily for the
exactly, yeah,
the
for the consumer reason.
Yeah.
I mean, I prefer just for the simple setup, and for most people, consumer wise, that's what they're going to want. But even with the two base station with the index tracking or Steam tracking, I still have issues every now and then. It's not always perfect. I mean, it's as good as you're going to get, but there's still every once in a while little hiccups there. I lose tracking depending on where I'm facing, and my room is pretty big, but I have the 2.0 stations. But I have thought about getting a third one. I probably won't, but I mean, yeah, I think inside out tracking is the future. I mean, if you can do inside out tracking at least as good as the Quest does, it does a really, really good job. So as going forward, I'm sure that's even going to continue to improve, but it does such a good job already. I mean, using the HP Reverb G2, I was super excited about that headset to get it. And I've been disappointed with the controller tracking. I come to expect at least that Oculus inside out tracking, and nobody else can do it yet. So hopefully Sony has been hard at work. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Sean, because it's a split base, I think, with the G2. I've never it doesn't seem to be a blanket. I think if you say bad things about the G2 to the wrong people, they tend to see it as a hate thing. But
yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. I think the headset is great for certain things.
Yeah,
but I'm not as excited about it as I was originally. But it's still a great headset for sim racers, and and it didn't quite live up to the hype for me, but it's still a cool headset for certain things, I think.
Yeah, I feel the same way about it. I think it's a really nice headset if resolution is your number one priority.
Yeah, it looks good.
Clarity,
it looks incredible.
Yeah.
But for content creation, which is my job, it's not very good to record gameplay with. So that's one reason why I wouldn't use it regularly. And secondly, like you said, the tracking was kind of lackluster, really.
Yeah, it was a combination really of certain things. But yeah, I remember seeing Alex Vias's Peep say the G2 visuals are next level. I will actually never forget being in Half-Life Alex in that headset. Like,
so good. Yeah, so good.
It was like and I'm trying not to exaggerate. It felt like a bit of a new game, but then I'd only really experienced. I don't think I've played Half-Life Alex on my Quest 2. I might have fired it up but not done the whole thing. But in the G2, it was like bloody hell. Like, this is incredible. If they can manage to get like headsets of that resolution without trying to people needing a PC, which is so expensive, I don't know how they're going to do it. But if you can get those sort of visuals in VR, That's the thing. Like going back to the secrets of talking about PSVR. If you saw a G2 and Half-Life Alyx and then put on a PSVR, I think you would be devastated. To be honest.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be. I'm just saying. You know,
The difference is huge.
It's massive.
And that's why,
it's like
the
720p to 4K or something.
The headset tech is just so old. The controller tech is just so old. They developed those Move controllers way before VR.
What, they're 11 years old, I think?
They were using it. I can't even remember what it was called back in the day.
Move, PS.
Move,
no,
yeah.
it was just PS.
Was it still called PS Move? I remember buying the iToy camera to play around with them to do. It was when Kinect was kind of like hot as well. So we're talking many moons ago. But that's how old this tech is. So it definitely needs an update for sure.
Yeah, I've still got them, man. I wonder if they'll be worth money one day. You know, I mean, funny enough, I picked these up so I played PSVR in April 2016, and it was I think that was like 4 months before the actual launch. Oh no, when did it come out? Was it October? And it came out the following October, and I went to my second-hand electrical game shop called CEX, and I picked these up for £5.
Oh my God, you got the bargain of a century,
I
dude.
know, because they were £70 on PlayStation. Do you remember? They probably still are now. Actually,
they are expensive. They are expensive still.
How did they do that? How do they do that? Absolutely amazing. Supply and demand. That's what you're seeing. It must be. They must be quite hard to get hold of or something. So yeah, a whole new generation of VR games and experiences is what they are telling us to expect. And more importantly, I know we've talked about the headset a lot, but the controllers are such a big piece of the picture, a huge piece of the picture, in fact. And that's all going to be happening, and that is really important.
I think it's nice to have that on the horizon, something really cool to look forward to. This is going to happen. I think it's great, It sort of makes me excited for what's going to happen. It makes me excited for the future. And the last few months, although I am, of course, always excited about VR, it's just nice knowing that you've got something super big on the horizon that's going to be great for everyone.
If this
especially when...
Sorry, Matt.
No. I was just going to say, especially like Mike, when you're like ingrained in the VR community, and that's pretty much during the normal day, that's all that you hear is the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
We've got, when we get a big game announcement or a big hardware announcement like this, it means probably a lot more to us than it does to normal people, because we're so ingrained in this that we're like, oh man, look, now we've got something huge to look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, let's not beat around the bush as well. If this would have happened during the Facebook scenario that happened, I don't know, man. I mean, I was struggling that week. That week when Facebook decided to say you've got to sign in to have an Oculus account, the hate was huge, and it was hard.
I think for us that are in the bubble, though, we kind of almost expected it would happen eventually, although we didn't necessarily want it to happen. It did. But I think, on the outside, from a traditional gamer's perspective that isn't in this kind of VR niche, in this VR bubble that we're all in and occupy, they certainly see it a different way. They are not interested in that. And this might be something enticing for them. Maybe they've already got a PS5. They were lucky enough to get one. Then they're like, well, if I can play a game like Half-Life Alyx or, the next Astrobot or Blood and Truth or
Gran Turismo.
Next Fire or Gran Turismo, if I can play that in VR and VR is going somewhere, and it's like, I think it's confirmed at this point, like VR isn't going anywhere now. We're just going onwards and upwards from here. Yeah. Then this is their opportunity to jump in and try it out. And I think that's going to be great.
And I think that too, with what Oculus has done, it's almost showed people that it isn't going anywhere, even if they don't want to get into that ecosystem. Yep. So these people that have PS5s, PS4 launched, and when they launched the PSVR, was it 2 years later? I think 3 years later. VR was still infancy, really young. That was the big step for people outside of PCVR into virtual reality, and that's what really got me into it more. And now that it's more common to hear about virtual reality in some of the games, and there's people reaching out to me that are hearing about the Quest, for instance, asking me questions about it that I never even expected would want one. And they're showing it on, everywhere. So VR is getting a lot more publicity. If Sony delivers on an insane, really good VR headset, there's people out there that are going to be like, okay, now it's time for me to try it. because it's popularized and not, you know what I mean? So I think that to that end, Oculus has really done even Sony a favor in that way, because they with what they've done, they've put a ton of money into making VR more popular, and just all the other companies that are jumping in are going to benefit from it.
Yeah. And plus now there's so many games to play. You know, early on everybody was like, I don't want to get VR. There's nothing to play.
Yeah,
There's no
right.
good games out there, you know? So,
Yep.
so now, especially by next year, like there's no way you can say that anymore. You know what I mean? So that's a big bonus too, I think.
Yeah. I mean, as I said about the Facebook thing, I'm not going to go back on that really, but just to say, like, Oculus have done a fantastic job. I don't think you can't really support VR. It's very hard to support VR without supporting Oculus, because they are carrying the flame and they're doing great work, and they're bringing great games out with fantastic technology at incredibly affordable prices.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm not sure PlayStation will be that price, you know.
No, I don't think so either.
No.
But I think you're right. You know, like, regardless of whether you detest Facebook or not, without them, VR would be dead.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah. I mean, they have kept it alive for sure. And you know, they have, yeah.
Yeah. It's a crazy thing. And
it really might not be, a coincidence that Sony said what they said last year and waited the holiday season to see how Oculus did with their Quest 2 sales, or approximated. You know, they have a dev kit, obviously, but that doesn't mean that they had to ship it. A ton of R&D goes into stuff all the time they never do anything with. It's possible they waited through the holiday season to see, okay, is this viable? Is there really enough interest for us to come out with another product? And then they see what's happening as it grows and really explodes in a lot of ways, and they're like, okay, Lord, we're just jumping all in.
That's the other thing as well. Like, PlayStation kind of did what Oculus is doing now. They actually had adverts a lot. They were on TV, in theaters, and stuff like that. And that was bloody exciting, you know, just to be sitting in a cinema and seeing Skyrim in VR in a cinema. It was such a buzz. It was great. And then that sort of faded away, and now you're seeing it. Like, a lot of videos I go on now, you've got like the super hot at the bottom in the little thing, and there'll be the Oculus Quest 2 advert before the video, and obviously maybe it's catered because I'm looking at VR a lot, you know, and I get that, but it's there. Do you know what I mean? And it's all over the place, and that's great.
They have the massive budgets like Oculus do to market this thing everywhere. You know?
Yeah.
So that's going to be great just to get the exposure out there. It's
going to be absolutely awesome. Carrying on, talking about Oculus Quest. Matt, can you tell us about Oculus Update 26?
26,
please.
The couch update?
The couch update.
I was just watching his video earlier today.
We're all watching his video.
Yeah.
So it was literally an update. I mean, there is some hand tracking adjustments that apparently to try to help with that. But other than that, there wasn't any bug fixes or anything according to the updates or the release notes. It was just about the couch or sofa. So you can actually go in and add that now to your Guardian, which it actually functions pretty well. So if you're standing in, it doesn't do anything if you're in a game. As far as I can tell, it didn't anyways when I tried it. But if you're in the main home area and you want a chance to sit down, you can turn around and you actually see your couch there. I don't know. I mean, I guess their reasoning was because you did, you know, this. Yeah, you did this Beat Saber round, I guess, and you got really tired. So you're going to go back to your Oculus home environment, and then you can have a couch there, and you just sit down. It works. It's a little weird. So you set it up by, you go into the settings, the experimental settings, and you hit add, and it gives you this.
Does it have to be a couch? Can it be a bed?
It could be a chair. It could be a bed or a chair, anything you can sit on. Because what you do is you put it up against the edge of it, and you pull the trigger and you scan it across the width. It doesn't, so it senses the height based on the new thing they have in the Guardian.
Yeah, you see all the pins and stuff, and it changes color. Yeah,
right. It senses the height with that, and then it uses the scan. So you scan across for width, and then you just hit add. So like I only did half my couch to test it, and it just adds a couch. You're literally just looking at a 3D model of a couch in your home environment, and you can go. When you get closer to it, the Guardian turns transparent, so you can see out. And see the couch, and when you turn around and sit down, it transitions back and it says, do you want to enter couch mode or something like that?
Are you fucking serious? Do you want to enter couch mode?
Yeah, it's something like that. I can't remember what it says. Do you want to activate couch mode or something like that? And you hit OK, and then it transitions to a static Guardian, so you're sitting on the couch. And when you stand up, it does the same thing. It transitions out of it.
I think I must be one of the only people that run the pass-through home environment. Does anybody do that? I know we ran a poll one time on our show, and it seemed like not that many people do it. But I run the pass-through all the time. Like I don't have any home environment set up. So for me, I mean, I think that feature is cool, but I don't see using it because I can, if I'm in the menu, I can see stuff anyways. But I do like the idea of sitting down. When I play Population 1, after a round, in between, when you're waiting and stuff, I have a chair that I always sit down in a lot of times just to try to feel a little bit better after all that movement and stuff. But
yeah, that's what it was. Version 26. It's literally a couch in VR.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I want drink tracking though. That's what I need.
Yes. I saw a guy did that. I saw it on Twitter a while back where he was using Steam VR and like a 3D printed mug. And I was like, man, that is so cool. I really hope that comes to be someday. That's awesome.
Another bit of news we missed because obviously the show's on a Wednesday. You can now buy a refurbished OG Oculus Quest. Did anyone find out if the hard drive size is it 64 gig or 128 they were referring to for?
64, yeah.
So 64 gig original Oculus Quest refurbished. There's some sort of, this isn't like, don't expect it to be crappy. Apparently it's cleaned inside out. It works. It's tested, and it's basically as good as new, is what they're saying, aren't they?
About the same you'd get probably at this point if you sent in a Quest to get it replaced.
And you get a 6-month warranty and a 30-day return policy. Who's gonna? Would you recommend anyone buying one for $199?
No.
Why not?
No, I think I would urge someone just to save that extra bit of money and just get the Quest 2. I know that the parity between the two platforms is the same right now, pretty much, with the exception of like Rec Room's Battle Royale mode that is only exclusive to Quest 2.
Yeah.
But I think on the horizon, no pun intended, that we will see more exclusive Quest 2 features that won't be available on Quest 1. And as we've seen with Oculus in the past, they drop hardware like a stone, with like they did with the Rift. So
we're moving on.
I would urge them just to spend the extra $100 because it is only available in the US as well. By the way, it's not available in Europe.
Right.
But if you're desperately tight on cash and you just can't afford the $300, then it is still a great headset. Like I said, the games are going to be the same. But I would urge you to just push a little bit more, save a little bit more, get the better headset.
I sent GT a link earlier too. This is in the UK, and I'm not familiar with the site, but it's game.co.uk. And they're actually offering a Quest 2 right now for I think it's $20 off basically. So it's listed as $279. Nice. So that's a really good deal for a Quest 2. I mean, I haven't seen really those go on sale. So.
£280. Yeah.
That's a great deal. That's a great deal.
Yeah. And that's the same for the other one as well. So yeah, it's 380 or 379, which is awesome. Absolutely awesome. I nearly bought another one today because of Gorilla Tag, because I've got these bloody protective rings on my Quest from VR Cover, and thank God they're on there, because I smacked the end of my bed so hard I stopped playing. I was like, oh my God, I've broken my controllers, dude. Like, I panicked so bad, and I was thinking, fuck Mike, it is Gorilla Tag.
Sorry, bro.
I got so worried. So as Mike said, it's probably better to try and save up and get the Quest 2. I think as well, everything about the Quest 2 is better as far as I'm concerned. I wish they would have kept the bloody original head strap though for the Quest 2. I thought that was a better head strap, personally, than the jock strap that we got.
And the IPD. I do wish they kept the IPD, the full IPD, instead of the 3 notches, but it works. It works good.
Hopefully
enough.
we have in the next iteration we have in between the two, because I love the physical slider, but by the time I got done using mine, it had wiggle to it. So if I moved my head, it would pop up with the graphic inside saying that I had changed my IPD.
Yeah, that's a good point. I had that too.
Yeah, so there needs to be something that locks it in place, like a slider like that, or some sort, but some way to keep it in one spot so that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay. I got an email. I don't know whether this is of any importance or not. A new report on controller usage on Steam is available now. New reports are available for the developers in the Steamworks sales and activations dashboard that show a breakdown of the major game controllers players are using or could use within their game. This comes on the heels of a recent update that added support for PS5 controllers and a number of improvements to various Steam input. So, I mean, does that go across the VR as well, do you think? Do you think they monitor what... Like, Sean, I take it with a G2, you then use your knuckles
I actually haven't done that. I haven't got the
Okay.
dongles that you have to. So when I use the G2, I actually use the G2 controllers. So I have thought about doing that. I don't know. I got so many headsets and stuff. And again, it's another step of setting all that stuff up. So I might do it someday, but we'll see.
What about you, Mike? Do you use your index with the G? Did you try that?
No, again, same deal. I feel like hacked together solutions. Like I feel like showing them on video sometimes is kind of a bit like people aren't going to do that, and people aren't interested in doing that.
No.
They just want to jump in and try it.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't bother. I don't want to have to work to make that headset better.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you guys obviously new to the show. Actually, before I do the news, let's do a quick thing of Sean, how did you get into virtual reality? What's your story?
I was watching every single thing on YouTube when DK1 stuff came out. I was super excited about the technology. I'd never tried it before in my life.
Was you watching Mike?
Yeah,
I wasn't even making videos back then. I don't think. Not DK1.
Not DK1, but the earliest stuff I remember is him and Nathy and Paradise Decay. All of them from as long as I can remember. But it was mostly all stuff with Palmer Lucky and stuff that I was watching DK1 stuff, and I was just super excited about the technology. Like I knew right then that was going to be something that I wanted to try and get into. And I didn't have a PC back then that was capable, even though, the specs aren't what they are now. But so I watched all the DK1 stuff, all the DK2 stuff. And then, like I said, I'd really hoped that Oculus would work with Xbox. That never happened. So a deal came along. It was in 2016 through Best Buy, where you got a gaming PC with a 1060 and a Oculus Rift. And that was back before you got touch controllers. So it was a bundle, I think, with the headset and the computer, and then you had to buy the controller separately. So me and Tyler, if you know Tyler from Rendered Reality, same day, he's in Ohio, I'm in Virginia. We both are on the phone going to like 3 different Best Buys because none of them had the full thing. And we get back home, we're trying to get this thing set up and working. And then we went in together, and we went into like Toy Box and like a bunch of little silly things. And we just died laughing for hours. And it was like we were hanging out in person, and that, because we're best friends from being young and we live far apart now. So we had always gamed together on Xbox, and it was just like, this is completely new. Like this is a complete game changer when it comes to playing games with friends and stuff. And ever since then, every single thing that we could try that was coming out, Arizona Sunshine played the whole game in co-op together. And we have memories of that, Tyler screaming because I had the flashlight and he only had the glow stick down in the mine. You know what I mean? Like it was just, it's just the memories. And it's just, ever since getting that CV1, I knew that I could never go back to flat gaming and enjoy it like I used to,
Yeah. What about you, Mike? What's your VR
back
story?
in the day?
Welcome to the Oasis.
Like a bit like Sean, I was just drinking up all the content around DK1 stuff, and Nathy was one of the first VR channels I discovered, and also Somatic Bruce was making videos around the DK1 as well, and he actually works for Oculus now. He's a really cool guy if you ever get to meet him. But he was one of the OG like kind of YouTube VR creators, and I really wanted to back the Kickstarter campaign for the DK1, but I couldn't afford it at the time. So I saved up a bunch of money, waited until the Kickstarter campaign started shipping out headsets, and then some guy, I knew it would happen, that some guy would sell one on eBay, like overinflate the price. So I ended up paying well over the odds for one. But I plugged it in, played some demos with a friend, felt like motion sick for hours, and just absolutely had a blast. I just knew then straight away, like, this is the future of gaming. We've strived for years to make gaming more immersive, better TVs, high resolution TVs, different weird and wonderful controllers and contraptions and haptic feedback stuff that just was gimmicky and never really worked. And then this was like, this is what we've all been wanting. We want to be in the game. And then from then on, I bought the CV1, and then as soon as the touch controllers arrived, that's when I was like, okay, now's the time to start making videos. Like, I really want to share this with everyone, because everyone around me, I was like, this is amazing, this is amazing, this is amazing. I was like, I don't care. I'm like, this is like, no one cared. It was like shouting from the rooftop, and everyone just ignoring the crazy guy.
I think that's why everyone does it, though. I think that's why everyone does it originally, because, like, you're talking about bubbles and circles and stuff. I don't know anyone. Physically, like in my area, I can't like. No, I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone, even though they might know me and they know I like gaming in VR. Some people buy a headset, then sell it, and it just I don't know, and
Mm.
that's right. I just want to say, man, that was that investment paid off,
Yeah,
didn't
it paid off in the end. Yeah, it took a while.
That's
but
good.
it did in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It paid off, man. It paid off. But it's a beautiful thing. Matt, what's your VR thing, dude? I just want to ask now.
Well,
We've probably covered it, but I want to know again.
yeah, no, yeah. I've been a lover of VR for a long time, mostly conceptually, the idea of it, for years and years. My first real foray into it was when I was young. I went to Disney World, and they had this arcade called Disney Quest, and they had these awful VR experiences that had a tiny field of view. It had awful refresh rate. The visuals were so bad it made me sick for the rest of the day. It was like awful. So like I wanted to just be sick all day long. It ruined my entire day in Disney. And at that point I was like, all right, well, it's not ready yet, but I still can see that it would be very interesting to, to experience. And then I followed along with a lot of things, but then lost track of it for a while because I just didn't have a PC that was capable of doing anything. So things started to come out. You had the original Oculus stuff, and I knew about it, but didn't pay really a lot of attention to it because at the time I was young, a young wife, young kid, and just didn't have any money to spend on it, and I didn't have a PC to do anything with. So along comes the PSVR, and I'm like, I already have a PS4. All I've got to do is buy this now, and I can actually play VR. So that to me was the big thing. I tried some of the other stuff on PC, but like I said, just didn't have the ability to buy a PC myself, and I already had a PS4, so that's what brought me into really virtual reality. And then I was showing as many people in my family as I could. I was scaring everyone that I could using the shark experience.
Hell
when you go
yeah.
down in the depths.
Hell yeah.
And I was just in love with it, and kind of fell out of touch with it for a while because I got really busy. I went back to school, opened my own business, did a whole bunch of stuff, and I still occasionally played it until I heard about the Quest. And that's really what just made me fall back in love with doing everything VR again. I just couldn't help it. I had a channel before that was video production stuff and filmmaking. That's because that's what I did as a career. And I was like, you know what, this Quest thing is something special about this, so I have to tell people about it. And that's really where it started. I started a month before the Quest released, and then ever since I've just been kind of doing what I can to tell people about it.
That's fantastic. It's so good, guys. It's so good. I've got a lot of people saying, talking about who their first YouTubers they was. It's weird, isn't it? Because you will forget that you make any impact on anyone, really. Then you just forget. People come through, and I bet tons of people say, "Oh, you helped me discover VR," but you don't really ever take it in. You don't actually realise how much you've changed someone's life.
We actually talked a little bit about this on our last show, talking about some of the people that we used to watch. And for me, this was a little bit later on. I'm pretty, I'm sure I already had my CV1 and stuff by now, but I don't know if any of you guys ever used to watch Epix 911.
Yeah, yeah.
And he changed his name a couple of times, I think. But I used to get up because he was doing daily stuff for a while. So I used to get up every morning and I would watch the previous day's video as I was getting ready for work and stuff like that. And I just loved it. But yeah, he was one that definitely had an impact on me. He was an awesome guy.
Oh,
He had lovely nature.
Yeah.
I love because he was a school teacher, I believe. And he just had that way about him of educating people, and the way he talked was just really like you could just sit and listen to him for hours. He was one of those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame he left. It's a shame he left the scene.
Hopefully, he comes back. He might come back. I don't know. Hopefully.
Yeah, well, we just found out, man. Yeah, exactly. He's not going anywhere. Yeah, so like my one I'll quickly add was pretty much PSVR Frank. Back in the day, because I remember I was on holiday. As I said, I played PSVR off my own back. I discovered it on my own, pretty much. I was a PlayStation fan, gaming fan, and then I heard PlayStation VR, and I was like, I've got to go and try it. It's free. Like, travel to London and went with my friend. We got PlayStation Water, which I can tell you now just tastes the same as normal water, but it was quite exciting to drink it, and I was blown away, completely blown away. And I waited a whole year. I wish I hadn't now, really, but I did play Star Trek Bridge Crew every night for like 2 months, so I don't regret it. Every night I was sitting there being the captain of a starship with countless cadets, helping them out, doing the Kobayashi Maru challenge. Like, that was absolutely fantastic. I loved that. I loved just going into a room and I'd be like, are you guys waiting for a captain to do the Kobayashi Maru? They'd be like, yeah, can you do it? And I'm like, yeah, I know how to do it. I wouldn't know how to do it now, I don't think. It was quite hard because you had to like rescue over 100. You had to beam aboard over 120 people while being in the demilitarized. No, not the, what's it called?
That's insane. That is insane.
What is that zone? Oh god, I can't remember it. Yeah. So anyway, you had to go into this really bad place and you get attacked and stuff. And I knew how to do it. And it was just great. It was so Star Trek was probably still is my most played VR game, I reckon. And there's not many games that do that. That gameplay mechanic of the game relies on 4 people to play together to accomplish a mission, and I think that's very important. And I'd love to see more games do that. So, just to keep up with tradition, I'm gonna roll our VR news thing. So don't talk for a second. And there it is, the VR news thing. It's just something we do on here. We get it wrong now and again. Yeah. Where are you, BMF? Are you in a dungeon?
Dungeon. Oh, I'm in a dungeon. Yeah. My basement office. This is where I do all the magic happens.
Yeah. So you see the wall with all the headsets and stuff. There's somewhere in the darkness in the background.
There's a green screen back there that turns into that.
Ideal. Yeah, so getting into the news. Oh yeah, so on the 4th of June in 2019, To the Top, which hopefully some of you do know that game, To the Top, because it was a big hit, I think, on PC. And actually, if you YouTube it, a lot of big tubers covered it. Jacksepticeye and a few others, like everyone's pretty much played To the Top. It was ready for Oculus Quest to come to the official store. The developers reached out to me and they were like, GT, do you want to do like a gameplay announcement together for the launch? And I was like, hell yeah. The day we went to record is the same day we found out that they said no. Oculus, so like, no, To the Top is not coming to the Oculus Quest. And then I think that carried on with a few other games. What were the other, do you remember, does anyone else remember any of the other games that were told no? There was, Pixel Ripped, 1989.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were the 2 biggest.
Kind of got to be careful about ones that I'm not allowed to talk about. So I'm just gonna keep quiet. But I met the guy that made To the Top at OC5 when all that happened, and he was such a nice guy, and I felt awful for him because he'd been working so hard on it, and that was the first time we'd really heard that they were going to be so strict with the curation process. So I just felt terrible for him, really.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I had, and obviously he had, the Quest version. It was done. They'd already put in the work and the time and the money, and they've made it. And on the day they thought it was coming out, they were told no. Mm-hmm. So I'm pleased to say that it is coming to Oculus App Labs. It is now currently being reviewed, whatever it is, pending approval. It should be here in 10 days, and you will find it on Matthew's site, hopefully. It's, it'd be really cool. And I think that way as well, if it's on Oculus App Labs, the multiplayer should be there, which is what was missing in the SideQuest version. So I'm hoping that turns up. And also, in the meantime, they have given me a snippet of what they don't want me to call To the Top 2. They don't want me to call it that. It is a sequel. It's not called To the Top 2. They reckon that is quite a mouthful. It's called Super Kit. Now, there is no sound currently, but they want me to run it. So it is just going to be sitting in the center of us now, in the little screen in the middle. It kind of still looks like To the Top to me. Maybe those targets won't be there in the future or something. I'm not sure. But as you can see from here, you can see there's enemies. It looks a bit like Mario kind of thing. He's punching them with his like rocket hands and stuff. And I think more importantly, he wanted me to get out there. That is happening. And they're working on it.
A lot different.
Yeah. The graphics look a lot different. It still looks like the same mechanics.
Yeah.
To me, he said this is very early build. Sorry, hold on. No, I don't. He always does that. Siri always does that to me. He like butts in and just tells me directions. But yeah, I mean that's crazy. A lot of people are massive fans of To the Top. There was big communities out there doing speed runs and doing multiplayer. One of the best things about To the Top was multiplayer because it felt like you was in like a VR Mario game in some of those levels. And so there you go. Super Kit is what they call it. So I'll take it you've all played To the Top, yeah? Have you all played To the Top?
Yeah, I've played To the Top, yeah. It was I played it on PC, I believe, when it came onto Steam. And yeah, it was like a fun game. It's like one of those kind of early parkour games. It was a lot of fun, and it was just a big shame for him, like you said, because he put all the development time in up front, not realizing that he could get rejected. And yeah, that sucks for anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you say Jeff Pop at GT? Can you please turn up GT? He's a bit quieter. Is that me? Am I quiet? Because on my sound levels, I don't look quieter. And obviously, I don't want to overtalk everyone. So, yeah, Skeever, how you doing, man? Welcome. And Rend of Reality, the kind people with the beards, have dropped a Star Trek Bridge Crew Oculus code. Thank you, man. Thank you.
I dropped a couple codes. I think that's the second code in there. So hopefully some people are paying attention and nabbing those up. So.
Are you just like rubbing your beard like that and codes are falling out?
Yeah, just magic.
There's another code for you.
Nice.
I figured since you were talking about Star Trek Bridge Crew, I'd throw one in there. So.
I don't know. I don't know. You just have them laying about. You just have codes.
Honestly, we do our show and we do the YouTube. We get super chats and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of the, because for me and Tyler right now, it's just really a hobby and we're having fun with it. So we just like to use a lot of that money just to do giveaways, give back codes. So I mean, most all of them we purchase. Every once in a while, a developer will send us code to give away, but it's just fun. I don't know. We just like to do it.
It should always remain fun.
The best thing is that you can do it with Oculus Quest now because they did the gifting. So that has been awesome because before we could really only do stuff on Steam and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I still want gift cards. I still want Oculus gift cards, but that has been awesome to be able to do with Quest stuff. So
yeah, we was asking for that for ages. The ability to gift codes. And I still want, it's nice to buy people games. Don't give me absolutely not. But I think I'd still love to get vouchers. I don't know why. I'd love to send someone a voucher code.
Yeah.
And then just say,
that's cool.
There you go, man. There's like £20 or $20.
Right. My brother, I wanted to give him something for Christmas. And instead of being able to give him a gift card to be able to buy something, because they got a Quest 2 sometime in the holidays, I had to pick a game and send it to him. Now he's a fan of Battle Royale, so I ended up picking Population 1, which you can't really go wrong with that anyways. But it would have been nice to allow him to actually choose what he wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and they have done gift cards in the past. They gave them away to everyone that attended OC5.
Yeah.
So they have done them. Why they haven't brought them out publicly, I have no idea.
I never knew that.
It's a huge missed opportunity. I feel like, especially holiday season. Man, they would sell those things like crazy.
The thing about gift cards too is that the companies that sell them a lot of times make money back on them because people don't use all of them.
Yeah.
So
they lose them.
They lose. I was gonna say somebody gets a gift card for Christmas and never spends it because they forget to add it into their thing, and they've so they're missing out on just the incidentals that happen with that too.
Doom Sly, thank you ever so much. You love this podcast, and he wants me to say hi to all of you. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining the podcast.
Hey, Doom Sly.
Doom Sly is wicked. He loves Doom.
Who doesn't?
That's true. That is true. Did you play Doom Eternal?
Yeah, although I kind of got bored halfway through, I have to admit.
I did, and it was annoying because when I first put the game on, I was like, the graphics in this game are incredible. But yeah, it did feel quite repetitive for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's something about it that just didn't pull me through it as much as the previous remake did. The Doom 2016 remake.
Yeah.
Reboot. Yeah,
for sure. Okay. I need to go back a little bit as well. Paradise wanted to know about you guys' thoughts about Xbox and VR.
Oh God, I think Sean hit the nail on the head earlier on, actually, because like he rightly said, the CV1 shipped with an Xbox controller. It didn't have any motion controls when it first came out.
Yeah.
And we might be talking about the Climb too later on, but the original Climb, you played it with an Xbox controller and you just sat there in your chair, doing the little grips with your Xbox controller.
I didn't know that.
And looking around. Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
I'm sure there's videos going back. You can see it being played with an Xbox controller. So it was a big deal when I played it again with the motion controllers. But everyone thought that, that Oculus obviously did a deal with Microsoft to ship these controllers, and there might be some long-term relationship there, and that maybe, the future Microsoft Xbox might support an Oculus headset. That's how the kind of partnership would go. But it just never happened. It just never materialized. We never really heard anything else about it. I would love for Microsoft to come in and be a player in this market, because I think there is definitely space for more people. Like we said earlier on, we definitely need more competition. whether this announcement from Sony will change their mind, I don't know. They've got platform, a Microsoft mixed reality platform. Why they can't just convert some of those headsets to work with the Xbox One Series X or whatever it is, I have no idea. But it would be a smart move in my opinion. Otherwise, they're just going to be left out of the game. Ultimately, in the long term, no one will know their history in VR.
I'm not sure where Xbox is going in general. Like in general, because I'm very lucky to have an Xbox X, but when you've got a PC, I kind of, apart from the idea of not being on PC, I struggle to find a reason to turn it on. Because Games Pass is also on PC, so it's, I'm sort of stuck in this. What do I need this for?
Yeah, I felt the same way about it. I was a big Xbox fan back in the day, but I've recently sort of, like you, converted more onto the PlayStation side because, like you say, I guess we're fortunate in that we have hardware that can run Xbox games on PC, but still, like the lineup isn't as strong as the PlayStation first party titles.
Yeah,
the one that I want to see is Forza Horizon. I used to love that game on Xbox, and if that could come to VR, because I like the car games and stuff, but I'm not like a sim racer. But the open world aspect and the car customization aspect and stuff of Forza Horizon, that's one that I've always wanted so bad in VR.
Do you remember the Forza Marketplace?
Oh yeah. You sell paint jobs and I mean, it's an awesome game. It was a massive. I spent a ton of time in that game on Xbox back in the day. That would be such a good game to get into VR. Huh.
I used to spend hours just doing that, being on the skin market and like sitting there. And I remember bidding on a Legend of Zelda skin this guy made, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, there was some awesome stuff. I mean, and the car customization, I used to take like these junker cars and put like these crappy paint jobs on them.
Sell them for a fortune?
No, I'd put like these massive like Supra engines in them with twin turbos, make them like crazy fast. And then we would go out because there was like this big long strip that everybody go like drag racing on, or I think it was at an airport they had. And it was just fun, man. It was so much fun. So that's still my dream. I think about that all the time.
That might be the only, I think that and Gran Turismo, actually it might even only have been Forza that really, it definitely was Forza actually, that you could, as you said, you had the drag race on the strip on like the airfield.
Yeah.
And I'd have like these cars, they'd be fucking bouncing up the road, like doing a wheelie, just trying to get that little bit quicker than someone else. Yeah, man, crazy. Do you know, I completely forgot about that side of it.
Good game.
Yeah, that is really cool. But Delirium Drew, thank you ever so much. Amazing guests. I know how blessed do I feel today to have amazing guys here today, and thank you ever so much for being on the show, boys. I know it's finished, but I just want to thank you anyway, cheers.
No, I appreciate the invite. It's always fun. It's always fun for me being a guest on another show because I don't have to do any work. I just have to talk. It's amazing.
Just jumps out the bath, straight on.
Yeah. Straight on.
Nice. Yep. So what we're going to do now, we're going to quickly have a look at the Hyperdash trailer, and we'll see you in a minute.
Welcome to Hyperdash. Prepare to start. Take speed. Take speed.
And there we have it. That is Hyperdash. Suddenly we've got loads of people subscribing for some reason. I don't know what's happening here. So yeah, Hyperdash. Boys, let's talk about Hyperdash. Talk about your experiences with Hyperdash. When have you played it? How much have you played it? And what do you like about it?
Yeah, so like, I love this game. And I wish the developers, Triangle Factory, like the best of luck with the launch. I think it's one of the best shooters available on Quest. Super fast paced, super fun. It has a variety of different game modes and maps. It has rails that you can grind on, like Jet Set Radio. You know, like if you ever played that game back in the day, it's that kind of style. It's awesome. And I remember playing this with GT about a year ago when it was available on SideQuest. It was very early days for the game. I think we both agreed back then that the game was something special, and we both really enjoyed it. And it was fun, and it had this amazing potential.
It
Obviously,
was
does have
March. It was March last year.
It was a year ago, was it? Exactly.
Yeah,
Wow.
basically, yeah.
Time flies. But you know, nowadays it does have more competition, and I think, you know, back then it didn't have that competition. There wasn't very many shooters available on Quest, even on SideQuest. But now it has Population 1 to compete with. It has Onward. It has Contractors, Solaris. I do think it can stand on its own, as it's quite unique and it's got some really unique gameplay mechanics. But it'll be interesting to see how it fares against the competition now. But I think it's got a cracking soundtrack, as you just played on the trailer, and it's got some really fun gameplay mechanics with the riding on the rails and the different game modes and stuff. So yeah, I think it's a great game, definitely worth checking out tomorrow. But it is competing with some other bits and pieces for your attention. So just bear that in mind.
I think that it's, as far as shooters on the Quest go, it's my favorite locomotion shooter. Aside from maybe Population 1, I love the climbing and the gliding in that. But this feels extremely fast paced. Like, I played it when it first came out on SideQuest in the alpha. There's one map available, one mode. That was all that was there, and that was the last time I'd played it. And then when I jumped in more recently, and it is so fast paced now. Like, stuff's happening all around you. You can slide on rails. You jump to grab a gun while jumping across the water, because it's incredible. I've never, the speed at which you play was surprising to me, because even though when I played it earlier on, it was fun, I don't know, there's just something fast paced about it.
It feels
just hit me
tighter than before. It feels
much
tighter, and I didn't necessarily notice it or remember it, but it seems like all the weapons have an alternative fire mode.
Yep.
As well. And yeah, they've definitely got that balance in. That is, you can definitely tell that's what they've been working on a lot, I think, because that is very important for weapons. You know, if you've only got 8 weapons, you've got to balance the fuck out of them, because they've got to be. People are going to rely on certain weapons. They're going to find a certain weapon and they're going to stick to it. Like, there is magnums in that game, like Desert Eagles, you know, which means accuracy. It's on like a rail gun kind of thing. You know, if you get that headshot, you've done them. And yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and I think there's something really satisfying about the dual wielding. You know, you're constantly dual wielding. You know, every other movement is handled by just like the joysticks, and that's super fun as well, which isn't necessarily in any other sort of shooter. So yeah, the dual wielding's cool as well.
Sean, you done a bit of Hyperdash?
Yeah, if you know me, I'm a big fan of first-person shooters. I love first-person shooter games. So me and Tyler have played this quite a bit. We haven't played it in a little while now, but we saw it. You know, people were talking about it, and they were telling us, "Oh man, you guys got to try Hyperdash. You got to try it." So, you know, looking at it, we're like, "Okay, you know, it looks all right." So we went in there and we're like, man, this is awesome. Like, we had a blast. And one of the things that I love about VR is that I love when games push the envelope. You know, I like the gliding on the rails. I like the high speed. I like Population 1 for the flying. You know, like, those things just feel really good to me. Like, even Contractors, when they added the ability to jump, you know, when you push in the stick and you can jump in Contractors, like, that stuff to me feels so good. Like, I remember Robo Recall doing the mods in that, where you could do the free locomotion and the jumping. And I was like, man, like, why don't more games do this? Like, I understand, you know, they're trying to cater to, you know, motion sickness and stuff. And it's so tough with new people coming in. They don't want to scare people off and make them sick. So I understand it, but I love the fact that, you know, I love the sliding on rails. I think people are going to really enjoy it if they haven't played it yet. And like, you guys were saying, you know, the competition is tough, because I don't know that tomorrow was the best day to launch this game.
I was waiting for someone to bring this up.
Yeah, with the Population 1 update. And I know a lot of times that's out of their hands, because Oculus has a say in when the game comes out, so they can't always decide that. But I mean, I would love to know the number of players that are playing Population 1 on Quest, because it always seems really high for a shooter game, you know, because we loved Contractors, but for a long time on PC, it died off and we couldn't play it anymore because there just wasn't enough people to play with. So Population 1 has done so many things right in that space that they're going to be tough to compete with. But I think Hyperdash is an awesome game. I think if you have not played this, you should definitely pick it up tomorrow. And I think people are really going to be impressed. It's a lot of fun, and it's a little bit different than all the rest of the shooters. It's not just your run of the mill shooter, so it's fun.
I was just going to say that is the one thing. Like, you got Pavlov, you got Contractors,
Yeah.
similar games.
And Pavlov's coming soon too on
Yeah.
so.
That's literally just, they put out a video, didn't they, on Twitter,
Yeah.
and it looks so much tighter. Have you just tipped one drink into another cup, or have you just got
I have two
drinks?
So the GT mug is gone. It's empty. I have moved on to the rendered reality mug. So
Backup coffee.
Yeah. I might not sleep tonight. I might be up for a while because usually I don't drink this much coffee this late in the day. It's like almost 5 o'clock where I live. So, but that's all right. I don't need sleep.
But I was going to say, like, Hyperdash is actually very different. To me, it reminds me of I mean, it's obviously dependent on the game mode. There's Team Deathmatch, there's Deathmatch, there's Payload, which is the Overwatch style, which I think is the first thing that will attract someone into this game, because that is hectic and it's long as well. Yeah, go on. Sorry, Matt.
Oh no, I was just mumbling. Go ahead.
No, you can mumble. Everyone loves a mumble. Yeah, and then I think the other mode was Control, which is where you got 3 buttons to press. I don't know why I've done 4 then. You got 3, and as long as you press all 3 and hold all 3 buttons at your color team for like 5 seconds, you've got a point, which is not easy. Like, it's not easy at all. You know, one person could just shake that whole thing down. And I think when basically we played it, and I've got to say as well, I think the haptics in the game, I haven't played Population 1 with haptics yet. Just want to get that out there. So far, I would actually say that this game, Hyperdash, was the best use of haptics I've tried.
With the B Haptics Fest?
Yeah.
With the lot.
Supports.
It's done everything.
Supports. I didn't use the facial interface or the facial thing because I find it a little bit uncomfortable for me.
It's horrible, yeah.
I love it. I wouldn't recommend it. It's one of those things. It's like, out of all the things I've got, which is the vest, the arms, and the face, it'd be in that order: vest, arms, then face, because it's not greatly, but it is still pretty cool to get shot in the head.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
But the vest and the arms worked really well in that game. They just you could feel when you charge up, especially you charge up the shot and you fire, you can really feel it in your forearm. It's really cool.
Yep.
And I think what Triangle Factory did really great with Hyperdash was that they really worked with the community and listened to the community feedback. They had this obviously on SideQuest for a long time, so they've had this constant community feedback from them for like a year now. Whereas I think other games have come out and just dropped as a beta publicly straight away, and then they've struggled to kind of keep up. So I definitely think they've done the right thing. It'll be interesting to see how the community reacts to this one. But, you know, like I said earlier, I definitely think it's one of the best shooters that's available on Quest.
I'll definitely be live streaming it. And, you know, like I do Pop 1, getting random people to jump in. I absolutely loved it. Time flew by while playing it. Skeever, thank you ever so much for the donation. He says, thank every one of you for what you do in this for this amazing industry. Love you guys. Aww.
Cheers, man.
Thank you.
Cheers, Skeever, and thank you and Alex VR, because you do the Between Realities podcast, and you have some amazing guests on there. So thank you as well for everything you do.
I also just want to give a quick shout out to Alex. Actually, I just realized today that he's become the community manager for B Haptics, and you know, I love it when I see people that are in the industry, you know, creating content, and then they transition into sort of like a role within sort of like a company somewhere making VR content or you know, hardware. I think it's great. So congrats to him for that move.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Yeah, it is amazing. It is really good. Someone's mentioned some sort of genitalia. I don't know. I can't actually read all of that. Jeff Bob. Yes, I will do a channel member stream. I can't do it this weekend, unfortunately, because I'm working all weekend. But I will be popping on to Render Realities podcast on Saturday. He's going to have a little bit of a giveaway. He's kind of hinted at them. He's been playing with them to show you sort of giveaway merch.
Yep. Some coffee mugs. Love them coffee mugs.
Love them coffee mugs. So let's talking about Hyperdash. Might as well move on to Population 1 VR Season 1, and I believe Mike has some details.
Well, I've got a few details. I don't know how much I can share, but I can give you the kind of overview of the information that I've been given.
As far as I know, dude, honestly, I think as far as I know, everything's out
Everything's
there.
on the table.
Yeah, and I will take it on the chin. I will take it on the chin. All right.
Without going fully into detail, here's the kind of brief rundown. So this is like the latest update, season 1 of Population 1. The differences now are that you've got an LMG, which is designed to suppress a position of the enemy, which is going to be pretty interesting. You've obviously got different rates of fire, the rarity of the gun that you pick up. It does, let's see, it has 4 steps to reload it rather than the traditional 2 steps to reload a normal gun. So, you know, you're going to have to put some work in. And also, you're going to be slowed down up to 80% of your max run speed when you've got one of these bad boys in your hand. So there's going to be some trade-offs there if you end up picking one of these bad boys up. You've also got a knife, which is going to be pretty sick. This is automatically given to the player after leaving the launch platform. So, and also available once you've been revived as well. So if you don't have the time to pick up a gun, you can pick up a knife. And this speeds up the player movement by 10% when in your hand. So you can really kind of go into that ninja stealth mode, creep up on some players and get the jump on them. That's going to be pretty interesting. Along with the knife, melee weapon-wise, you've also got a katana now. This can deal up to 75 damage.
75. So 2 swings and someone's done.
Pretty much done. This can also go straight through a shield as well. You've got no protection from any shields. If you hold it two-handed, this is kind of interesting. The katana produces a small personal shield, which will deflect incoming fire from the front. So you can literally do hold it both hands, do a full charge at a player shooting at you, and literally take them out. So that's going to be pretty interesting.
Teamwork.
how this
That's
changes
where teamwork's going to come in. Yeah,
definitely. It's going to these changes are really going to change up the way the game plays, I feel like. You've also got a zone grenade, and this is designed for to force players out of cover. So you can throw a zone grenade, and that'll obviously bring in the zone to that specific little area, and it'll deal damage per second like the normal zone does.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, you've got the shield drink. So alongside the Pop 1 soda red drink, you've also now got a blue one, which is a shield drink, and this restores 25 shield over 15 seconds. Also, this is kind of interesting. They've added new inventory management. So shield drinks and health sodas can fit 5 per slot now. So you don't have multiple slots for those.
I didn't know that.
Frag grenades and bananas can fit 2 per slot.
Bananas are quite big.
Well,
they can be.
Well, it depends. Depends where you get them from. But
True.
But yeah. So that's a kind of little overview of kind of some of the changes that are coming in season 1. They've got a battle pass now, which is kind of interesting. I think it was 300 coins GT for the battle pass.
Yeah, 300, or if you wanted the one with the extra 15 levels, very much like Call of Duty. If you want to jump 15 levels to unlock extra characters and stuff, that was 1,000 coins.
Nice. And they've also got calling cards now. So you have a calling card. If you kill a player, you'll see the calling card of the player that killed you with their own background, which you can buy or earn through sort of leveling up. So that's kind of cool as well. There's loads of changes. I'm really excited to try it out. I'm looking forward to jumping in tomorrow when the update goes live. I'm not sure when it goes live, about 6 p.m.
Normally
UK time
6
is
p.m.
normally around that when that happens.
That's when all us EU bums need to get on there, because all you NA people will come along and rinse us with your great ping. With your
amazing ping, yeah. Rip,
we are
rip
lucky.
to those of us working with 100 ping. God damn it.
But I just want to say, what an amazing update! Like, the big box are seriously bringing it. Like in VR, I always felt like in VR, there was always you always had to accept something might be missing from the VR version of a game or something, you know. And slowly, this is like, if you do any YouTube search, if you put Fortnite VR, Pop 1 will come up. So that's what people were saying about it. And it actually is now. Do you know, Matt's so excited, he's gone to play it.
He's going to play it now.
Yeah, he's just left Grogu behind.
And I don't blame him.
Place.
I don't blame him.
But yeah, I think, you know, Big Box, they've really set the standard for how a community engages with the community, keeps the game fresh, keeps updating things, keeps tweaking things. They've absolutely smashed it. I'm not a massive fan of the skins, but, you know, I think if they're earning revenue from it and it's making the game better in the long term and players are buying them and enjoying them, then I'm happy for everyone.
Yeah. I like you said, the way that they've built the game around, you know, the community, and they really do a good job of listening to feedback. I was actually in the earliest beta test back before the Quest, you know, on the PC build.
You told me about it. You told me, you said, dude, you couldn't tell me any details, but he was like, you've got to play Population 1.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I mean, but every playtest, they were constantly asking for feedback, and they've taken a lot of the feedback that the community has given. And this update, honestly, I mean, this update is a really, really big update, and this could potentially change how the game plays completely. It's going to be really interesting to see how this works out, because even with the addition of melee weapons, with the knife and the sword and stuff like that, I have these pictures in my head playing tomorrow and stuff, and I picture myself going into a building and somebody's climbed up in the corner and just Spider-Man hanging there, just waiting for me to walk in the door, and come down on me. Like it's going to be really strange, because with the melee weapons in a normal environment, it's going to be weird because you still hear footsteps and flying and stuff like that. So it is going to make things in some areas more difficult, but in a camping sense, I think we're going to see maybe some more camping. And like Mike was saying, with the shield, with the sword, you're going to have, Population 1 already is based on teamwork, and that's what I love about it. Like, if it was a single player battle royale, I probably wouldn't love it as much as I do. I love the teamwork of first person shooters. So a 3-man team that works good together, even if they're not that good, can win a lot, because if they work together, they can take out players that are better than them all the time. It happens all the time. And there are some players that are just ridiculously good, and I don't even understand that, but it's just this update is really going to be huge. And I just can't wait to see how it completely changes the dynamic. And it could be some good things and some bad things, but we'll just have to wait and see. And I think the future of Population 1 is absolutely endless, because I don't think they're going to stop. They're going to keep doing these updates. They're going to change the game. It's going to keep getting better. It's already gotten so much better than it was back in the beta days. And it's just so much fun. Like, you tell people, like, they say, well, the graphics in Population 1 aren't Half-Life Alyx and stuff like that. And I'm like, honestly, it doesn't matter. It's just how much fun you have in that game. And it's one of my favorites. I talk about it all the time, and I love the game. They did a great job. And tomorrow is going to be a big day.
Boy Brown just said he doesn't like teams because he's shit at the game and he feels like he's letting the side down. Well, you're playing with the wrong team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are some people that just like to play by themselves. So I think that someday they will have that mode. And because some people don't like playing as a team, they don't like the teamwork. That's just me personally.
Some people don't like talking in VR though. Some people don't like communicating in VR still.
Yeah. You play with new people sometimes and you're like, hey man, how's it going? Or can I get some help over here? And they don't say anything. And it's not that they don't have a mic, they have a mic, you can hear them chewing on stuff. They just don't like to talk. And that's okay. You don't have to talk.
It might be Matt.
And the good thing about that in Population,
Is this boom?
About that. I hear that, like, people chewing all the time. I'm like, oh man, it's crazy. But the nice thing is that you don't have to talk in Population 1 to work as a team, because you can still ping things. You can still tell people where you're at or where to go or where enemies are at. So even that aspect is something that's different than a lot of other games. And it's good. They did so many good things. I love the game. I probably speak too highly of it sometimes, but
I don't think that's right. I think you can speak very highly of it. I think it's doing things. I think it's done, as I was trying to say earlier, it's done the things that traditional games have been doing, and it's doing them now. It's not too late. It's come to a very, very popular platform, and the updates have been constant. Different modes. All right, then maybe like the war mode. War mode, I actually thought was amazing. Because they even had the whole team talking. And that changed the game to have 9
that was
people
hilarious,
all talking.
Yeah. It was hilarious.
That was great because I was so disheartened when I was like, we're doing war mode, guys. And someone went, but it's still 3 players. And I'm like, fuck. What happened there? They've missed the boat. What a missed opportunity. And then sure enough, all of a sudden you can hear everyone talking. And I'm like, yes, that's good enough for me, man. But, it was just really good fun. It was really good fun. But yeah, like back to Hyperdash again, I think the games are very different. The games are very different. I know they're still shooting, different. But they're very different. So I think they can coexist. It's just whether the people's wallets want to assist them in coexisting, because that is not the only game coming out tomorrow. We also have another game, which I think I've heard is an OG game in VR. And I don't know if any of you guys have played it. I've not played it. It's called something like Crashland. And
Crashland.
Have you played it? Do you know what it is?
I haven't. No, I mean, I've looked it up and I guess what it was actually like a tech demo from back in the day that they've kind of resurrected. But I mean, this kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know about you guys, but I hadn't heard anything about this coming to Quest. And then I'm like, I mean, it was never on the store as coming soon or anything like that. And I was like, whoa, what is this? And it doesn't look half bad. You know, to me, like watching it, I get like some of the Serious Sam vibes and stuff like that. I think you mentioned another game that it kind of looked like, but I mean, it looks pretty good. I'm probably going to pick it up tomorrow. So I don't know, so much to play though tomorrow. Ooh.
I know that's the problem, man. So let's transition and have a quick look at the trailer for Crashland.
Broadcasting distress signal. Salvation in 5 minutes. Stand by. Plasma grenade. Burst fire. Rapid fire.
So I don't know about you guys, if you're watching that trailer, that game actually looks pretty good to me. I think it looks pretty good. I think it looks a bit like Farpoint, and the more you watch it, the different. There's like a dash to frag ability. What else was there? Obviously, he's getting different power ups per round. There's movement because first of all, I thought, oh my god, it's a wave based shooter, and then he starts moving around. The aliens look like something out of No Man's Sky. What do you guys think of that?
I'm not so hot on spiders as GT will know, so I'm not like a massive fan.
He loves them.
Of what this game looks like, but you know, it's got a nice variety of different aliens there that you can blast to pieces, which is kind of cool. And when they did blast them, they did like come out in little pieces, which is kind of interesting looking. And they've also got that kind of like alien style tracker on the back of the gun. I like that. If it makes that little noise, the iconic like tracker noise, that'd be sweet. But it looks kind of basic, you know. I don't think I think it's kind of one of those ones you're going to jump into, maybe have a little fun. Apparently, it's got like 50 odd levels from what I read earlier on today. But yeah, it just looks pretty simple. It's not going to kind of suck you in and keep coming back for more, I don't think. But I think the devs as well could have worked better, done a better job on like hyping this up a little bit more. You know, like you say, this kind of dropped on us out of nowhere. Normally, developers are pretty good at releasing trailers or like game artwork or at least screenshots.
Or talking to the community. I'm not
talking to the community, and getting people excited about it. And you know, they could have done a better job with that, definitely. So, you know, I haven't played it yet, so I'll still definitely play it. I'll still definitely check it out, but I'm probably not as excited for this as the other things that are coming out tomorrow for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think this is probably one of those games you might want to watch. One of these three guys sitting here, some of their videos and stuff to maybe before you pop on buying it and check the reviews and stuff. I mean, I think the trailer looks cool, but we just don't know anything about it. So we don't know, you know, nobody, I mean, usually games, people have played it before they came out, you know, somebody has a little bit of experience with it. So it's hard to say. And there's some, like you guys said, there's some stiff competition tomorrow. So
sure.
I probably will play it.
Do you ever buy any games based on Oculus Store reviews on the Quest?
I usually do read the reviews, honestly. I mean, I'm trying to think of one that came out recently that I saw the trailer and stuff, and I was like, oh, that doesn't, you know, that might be okay. And then I read some of the reviews, and I was like, and I passed on it. So, I mean, I do read the reviews. I watch a lot of videos a lot of times, you know, reviews and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I don't know that I completely base it off of. And a lot of times, you know, we'll be in betas and stuff like that, so we have an idea what the game might be like before we buy it. But But yeah, I mean, I think reviews are a good thing. I
What
mean,
did
I read your reviews on there, GT.
Thank you very much. Did you? I was going to ask. What did you think of the Walking Dead Onslaught?
I did not like it. I was not a fan. I mean, the bad thing is we had Saints and Sinners that came out before then, and Saints and Sinners was an awesome game. One of the best. I mean, probably the best zombie game out there. I still love Arizona Sunshine, but that was an early on game, so there's a love for that game that just came from playing it so early. But yeah, it just didn't live up to what I had hoped for, especially from Servios being a direct tie-in with the series and stuff.
That could have been huge, that game.
Yeah, I feel like it was a big missed opportunity, and I had hoped it would be better. I was really excited for it, and I played it some, when it first came out, and I haven't went back in, even though they've done some updates and they've fixed some things. I just haven't had any. I mean, a lot of it is first impression. You get that bad taste in your mouth, and there's nothing driving me to want to play it again. If I want to play a zombie game, I'm going to jump in Saints and Sinners. I mean, it's just such a good game. So,
yeah,
agreed.
Yeah,
totally.
Talking about first impressions, that is very important. Like rushing games is not the way forward.
Yeah,
but yeah, definitely with this game, Crashland, I think I'd rather watch GT play it on a stream than play it myself. Put it that way.
It depends.
That's what I was hoping.
Do you know what though? It depends on price. Like literally, my opinions, right? So I'm watching that, and I'm saying to you, I think it looks good. I think in my mind, I've already got a price, and I don't know whether anyone cares, but I'm thinking like $10, $12. I'm not seeing any more than that, and
yeah, that sounds good. Sounds about right.
Does it sound about right, or does it sound good? I need to know.
I think that's the price that it probably should go for, about $10, $12. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be $19.99 probably, or $14.99.
Yeah, and that's where the problems come in for me, But I mean, at the same time, some people have written to me a little bit aggressively and been like, "Yeah, but developers need to make that money on their first game to be able to then make their second game."
Got to make a good first game. I mean, that's what you got to do. I mean, if you want to make the money, make a good game. I mean,
yeah, I guess yes. Fair enough. He's right. Yeah, you're not wrong. Did we talk about Windlands 2? I can't remember. No, we didn't, did we?
No, we didn't.
Windlands 2 is now coming to PlayStation VR. And I think I was speaking to Mike before the show started. That's actually where I met Mike, was going to play Windlands 2 on PC. And that was back in 2017. So the game is now coming to PSVR. If you loved Windlands, it's one of the only games in VR I've actually nearly fell over in when swinging. It was like, I don't think it's for newbies, Windlands. I don't want to put people off, but it's quite intense. Yeah.
It's one of those ones that people back in the day, the original Windlands was one of the ones that people earned their VR legs playing because it was so vertigo inducing, and it was kind of like a crazy locomotion mechanic for its time. Obviously with Windlands 2, they smoothed it out a lot. Everything was much better. I loved it. I loved Windlands 2. I thought it was a great game. The co-op mode was great. It had these epic boss fights. Just moving through the environment was fun. And I think that's a real testament to how they did that with the grappling hooks. Even if just traveling is fun, then that's great, And then they added obviously the bow mechanic to take down your these like epic bosses. It was a really cool game, and I'm really happy for them. The SciTech game team, that they're finally bringing this to PSVR. I know it's kind of a little bit late, but I guess they're still a pretty small studio.
I mean, in one way, isn't it? Like, I mean, I think the other day they said it was 6 million PSVR owners. Like, this is a game they should check out. I think the Move controllers will fit this game exceptionally well.
Yeah. And yeah, definitely. And especially because, like, if you're invested in the PSVR platform and you don't have another VR headset right now, it's not like you have much choice of new content coming. I think this is one of the very few that we'll probably see of the last of the OG PSVR games.
Yeah, I mean, they in the little Twitter post they put out, they mentioned Sniper Elite VR. What else did they mention? A couple other games that are still coming. Human, which is by the guys who made Tetris Effect.
Okay.
So yeah, and I remember seeing a trailer for that ages ago, Human, and I honestly cannot figure out what the hell that game is about. And what it's.
But yeah,
for.
if you're on PSVR, Windlands 2, grab a buddy, have a blast. You'll love it.
I would say it's a no-brainer for that if you've got a PSVR. And I think
it gets hard as balls later on, dude. Like, oh my god, like I almost rage quit a couple of times near the end of that game. There are some bits that are just so challenging, but then it's like super rewarding afterwards when you finally nail it.
Another thing I don't think they show. Oh, they do show it in the trailer. Is you get a bow and arrow in this game.
Yeah.
Which is excellent because Windlands was. I think the original wasn't anything to do with attacking at all. It was just collecting stuff. And when I played this, and I have played it since, but when I first ever played this, it felt very like Breath of the Wild to me. I think Breath of the Wild had just come out, and you there was like a mechanical robot, and you could sort of swing and slide underneath his legs, and you're taking out all these like pressure points and stuff, or hit like areas of damage. It was really cool. I thought it was really cool, and I'll probably be jumping back in when the PSVR version comes.
Yeah, it's got the same like aesthetic art style as Breath of the Wild, same color palette. That's probably why it looks so similar.
Such a
it's definitely a cool game.
You're all Nintendo lads, aren't you? Sean, I'm a bit worried about you now because you were talking about something earlier. I was going to say, do you like Nintendo? Do you play Nintendo?
Oh yeah. I was. I mean, I had the regular Nintendo, Super Nintendo, the Game Boy. I mean, I used to play Game Boy all the time. That was a Christmas present for my grandma. That was like the greatest day of my life.
But your grandma was rich.
Yeah, but I don't know how she pulled that off. She like bought all of her grandkids a Game Boy that year, and I don't even know how she did it. She probably like robbed like a KB Toys or something. I have no idea. But it was the greatest day ever. So.
Props to Gran.
Yeah. Wow, rendered reality nanny. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I haven't done much with Nintendo since. You know, I don't have a Switch. I mean, I had a Wii. That was the last Nintendo product that I had probably bought new. But my nephew and stuff, he plays his Switch all the time. So
yeah.
I love Breath of the Wild. I loved it. I finished it and loved it to bits. But recently I've been playing Hades on the Switch. That's an epic game. Like if you love roguelites, Hades is the nads. It will suck you right in. It's probably got some of the best voice acting I've heard in any game ever. It's epic.
I need to get into it, man. I need to get into it. And Sean, I think with the Wii U, you missed out on Nintendo Land. Nintendo Land on the Wii U was like that. I think what Nintendo did, they carried on doing, was they could bring people together around a TV and you could play games together. And Nintendo 64 did that. That was the main thing of the Nintendo 64 was the 4 controllers, you know. And I really hope they do a mini N64 one day.
I'll tell you what, we were at I've never played Animal Crossing. I know nothing about it, but we were at PAX last year. That was like the last event we got to go to. It was right as kind of all this COVID stuff started happening. And that Animal Crossing booth at PAX was absolutely amazing. I mean, it was like right when you walk in, it was huge. I mean, it was just one of the coolest setups I've ever seen in my life. It was really neat.
I bought my wife Animal Crossing when she was self-isolating. And she got a bit into it. You know, there's a bit of an online feature as well, I think, to Animal Crossing in some way. You can visit other people or something like that. But yeah, I should actually try and pick that up so I can sell it because she doesn't play it anymore. So the Climb 2 has also been announced. And it's coming. Is it coming March 4th? Do we know that? Is it 100%? I think they tweeted it out.
Yep, March 4th.
Nice, yeah. And who's buzzing for the Climb 2? Because I think behind the scenes, I am excited to do it, but I'm wondering how much can be different.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest concern as well. Like, I love the original Climb. I even went to a climbing center and recorded people playing that were climbers. That was so much fun. Shame I can't do that now, but you know, it was fun to do that back in the day. I actually became a member of that place afterwards and got into climbing myself, like proper bouldering. That was really fun. Super peaceful hobby if you're ever thinking about taking up a peaceful hobby.
And dangerous.
A little bit dangerous.
No, I'm sure it's fine.
You get into this kind of mind state, you know, it's very, very calming. So if you like that kind of thing, I'd recommend it. But yeah, I love the Climb. Obviously, I played it way back on the CV1 with the Xbox controller, like I said earlier on. Play the Quest version as well. You know, obviously it's a visual downgrade, but it's still a great game. Still really enjoyed it. So looking forward to this one, particularly the urban environments like the skyscrapers. Looking forward to climbing those. Bit disappointed that we didn't get any proper like multiplayer where you can climb together. It's asynchronous multiplayer, so it's like, I think it's like a ghost mode. So you set a time, someone can race your time as a ghost track. I don't think you can both physically be on the side of the mountain chatting to each other as you're climbing, which I think is a real missed opportunity because any game is fun with more people in VR. Like we talked about Gorilla Tag earlier on. It's the most basic looking game you've ever seen in your life. Looks like a PS1, but you get a bunch of people in there, you have an absolute blast. You have such a good time. So it's a shame that they couldn't add that. And also, I'm kind of disappointed it's not coming to Rift. It seems like it's coming exclusively for Quest. And if you've ever played the Climb 1 on the CV1, it was one of the most visually stunning games you could play back in the day. And it's just a shame that we're not going to see that visual fidelity on the PC platform. Obviously, you could still connect your Quest 2 to a PC if you have one, or you still have a Rift S floating around. So I think that's a bit of a shame, but overall, still very excited nevertheless.
Yeah. What about you, Matt? You buzzing for the Climb too?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I want to see the new environments, I think that's the thing that I'm most excited to see, and see what kind of different places we get to climb. But yeah, if it's the same exact game with different skin on it, pretty much, I'll play it, but I'm not going to be like ecstatic to really, because I liked the game, but it wasn't one of those games I just kept going back to. It was fun, but it's not one of those games you just kind of play all the time.
Yeah.
And it's not for me. It is for some people. Some people really like it, and I enjoyed it, but it's just not something that I want to do all the time. And I was kind of disappointed. I was really hoping for like a co-op type mode where you'd race against each other to go up the side of a mountain or up the skyscraper, seeing each other, taunting each other while you're going up. I think that would have changed the entire thing. That could have been an entirely amazing game. But yeah, I'm definitely going to play it.
In my head, I sort of imagine like them putting like a VR climbing center in there, and you can just race a friend, and you got to bash the buzzer at the top or something. Just even little things like that would have been great for me.
Yeah, that was, I had been hoping for a true multiplayer or co-op for that game ever since they announced that it was coming, when the Quest 2 came out. And my idea of it was not only the racing, like to race to the top, but I thought of it as a co-op game too, where you have areas that you have to get to that you have to have help. Like you have to reach for your buddy and help pull them over or pull them up. I thought that would be really cool. So I am
awesome.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff I think is really cool. And there's so much potential in VR to like work together and feel like you're doing something together. I hope that maybe they'll someday do an update or something like that. I think that could really bring new life to the game, but I'm excited for it. And mainly, I think the main reason that I'm excited for it is because the first game that I ever played in the CV1 was the first Climb, and that was in a Best Buy. So that was the first time I ever got to try a real VR experience, not Google Cardboard or anything like that. So I think it's a little bit like holds a little bit of a special place in my heart, but like Matt said, I have it on the PC. I played it some, but it's a game I never really go back into it. I haven't played it in a long time, but hopefully the second one will kind of wow us. Hopefully they do something a little special. Maybe we don't know about. I'm not sure, but I'll definitely pick it up though. I'm definitely gonna get it.
I remember just being really excited that it was a game by Crytek.
Yeah.
Like, that for me just excited me that they were doing something in VR, and you knew it was going to be visually impressive. Flipping over from that, just popped in my mind quickly. I think that's one of the best things about PSVR and the Quest being like a thing all to itself. The games will all run well. You haven't got to really worry about that PC side of thing. And it is a shame, like Mike's saying, that certain games you're not getting the ultra version of games. Because as you said, when you stand in Climb and you stand on one of those wooden platforms and look around in PC, you're like, wow, this is phenomenal.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. And I think even now, I think I popped in there a little while ago when I first got my PC and my 2070, and the game did actually struggle a little bit. Like performance and frame rate dropped some. I don't know what the specs of the game are, but how old is the Climb? It must be 3 years old or more.
4 years old now, I think. Yeah. But it was one of the most demanding VR games of its time, and I remember that everyone was really struggling to record it because obviously playing and recording at the same time is challenging as it is.
Yeah.
But with this game, you had terrible kind of shifting black borders in your display and all sorts. I think the tools have improved now to make it smoother, but yeah, back in the day, it was a really hard game to show in a video. I remember that vividly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. So yeah, that is pretty much all the news that we have today. Apart from tomorrow is PlayStation State of Play. If anyone's into that, I've heard that there isn't going to be any VR on there though. There's going to be no hints of that. In the background now is a game currently playing called Z Racer. BMF, you know about Z Racer, obviously. I think you've got a ship in there, haven't you? And have you done your vocals?
No, not yet.
Okay, so yeah, I'm in there as well. I've got my own ship, and I'm my own announcer for my ship as well. So if you race,
can you do your announcer voice now for us on the show?
It's just this voice. It's just me. I haven't really got one. Funny enough, when I started recording, I did do like a weird American voice, and I played it back, and I was like, "Who the fuck is that? Who is that guy? That's not me."
You do like a welcome to Z Race. You're going to be flying in my ship GT.
I don't know what I say. No, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I mean, I don't give any diet advice.
Mate, missed opportunity.
I know it felt that way. I think one of the best ones I've ever done is Dash Dash, and they basically said to me, "You can make an in-game horn," and I was like, "What can I say?" They went, "Anything you like," and I was like, "If you put an echo on it, I will say." Holy shit balls! And they left it in the game. So if you go and buy the game and check me out on Discord, you can have a holy shit balls horn for your car, and everyone will be like, "What the hell was that?" Yeah, I thought it's pretty. that was absolutely phenomenal.
So me and Tyler did record our. We both recorded it for the.
Your
Z-Race
car
ship.
looks the best.
I love the car. I don't know. We gave them they didn't ask us what it should look like or anything else. We just saw the trailer and we were like, holy crap, that looks really good. So we really do like the car, but there's a ton of awesome ones in there. Like I can't wait to play. The only thing with the announcer voice in the car, I feel like it might ruin it for me because I don't know that I'm going to want to drive my own ship if I have to listen to myself. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I'm like, man, like
I wish this prick would shut up.
Yeah, like can I turn that off? Is that going to be an option? I don't know. So that's it's a little concerning to me, but I think it's a marketing genius move what they did really, putting all these people's ships and voices and stuff in there because we're all going to talk about it, right? You know, it's cool to talk about because, you know, we talk about our ship or whatever else. So we're all going to be playing it. I think it was a good move on their part. So I don't know has anybody played it yet? I haven't got to play it yet. So I don't know.
I haven't. And once I saw the gameplay, I got worried, to be absolutely honest, as always, because it was in tunnels. It doesn't look like it can be easy for people to pick up and play as long as it's not. I don't know if you remember, you probably do remember the original Wipeout on PlayStation was fun as long as you didn't hit a wall. If you hit a wall, you like lost all your speed and you're like, oh, and then you start again, get momentum, you hit a wall, oh. And it was like, when all the excitement died down of CD quality audio and that intro and shit, you were like, damn, man, I've got to be absolutely excellent at this game to enjoy it and feel like I'm going very fast all the time. And when I saw this and I saw apparently the developer said there's no first person mode because they're worried it'd make people sick. And I'm like, okay, I'm sure the community will say something about that as soon as possible. They've also said it's not all in tunnels. Because when I saw the tunnels, I was very surprised. I was like, why is it always in tunnels? It's a bit strange to me. But I don't know. I don't know what technology these ships use to fly. It might be some sort of, I don't know, anti-magnet thing.
Yeah, I know one thing that they keep mentioning is it's supposed to be a very comfortable experience for everybody. And that's right. One of the things that concerns me, to be honest. Like, I understand, like, I like options for comfort, you know, if you need to have like a vignette option or something like that. But I like to do things in VR that I can't do in real life. I want to feel like I'm going, 500 miles per hour. Like I want to be able to launch off a tunnel and fly through the air and land in another tunnel. You know what I mean? So that I think is the most thing that has me concerned is that I don't want it to be too comfortable, right? Like I want to have fun in it. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't played it yet. I'm looking forward to checking it out.
I'm looking forward to checking it out. Yeah. I was a massive fan of F-Zero, even though Nintendo seemed to completely forget the franchise ever existed since the GameCube, I think it is. And I absolutely loved it. Like it was one of my favorites as a kid. And even now, actually, I was only playing F-Zero the other day on the N64 emulator. I really enjoy it. But yeah, funny enough, I've mentioned no cockpit view, and people are in the chat, no first-person mode, no purchase. Ski was like, no cockpit view. Wipeout VR on PSVR is amazing in the cockpit. Absolutely, it is. It is. Yeah. Actually, in fact, Wipeout VR, I can't play it in any other way. Funny enough, when I play Wipeout without VR, I play it in third person. When I play it in VR, I play it in first person. But I cannot play Wipeout in first person without VR. I don't know why. I tried it. It's really weird. It's one of those games. For some reason, it makes more sense to be in the ship in VR. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It does make sense.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Hopefully it's something they add. I mean, we see this all the time. A game comes out and it only has snap turning, right? And then a week later, they're updating it because everybody's complaining there's no smooth turn option. Like, I'm not sure why at this point the developers don't just put in all the options, because if they don't, people are going to complain about something. Give people the options to run the game they want to run it. And, if you get motion sickness, well, then don't go in the first person cockpit view, so I don't know. Hopefully they add it, but we're going to see backlash, I think, for sure.
I don't know if developers ever listen to these things, but I think one of the best things you can ever do, and we've just talked about it earlier and highlighted it, is community feedback.
Right. Yep.
Don't just play the game in-house. Get other people in the community. They don't have to be content creators, just people who love VR and have got quite a bit of experience. Get them to play it, build your own community, and get that feedback. Don't just put a game out there and then wait for it, because as Sean said right at the beginning, first impressions, they're so important.
Yeah.
Space Junkies. Christ.
The problem with that game though is it was a great game, but they launched it at like a stupidly high price.
We're Ubisoft.
It was such a shame. I really loved Space Junkies. It's got a special place in my heart, but yeah, it's a shame that game died almost instantly.
We played that early, didn't we? We went to Ubisoft and played it.
We went to Ubisoft. Yeah, I played it at OC4, I think. Really early back in the day. Loved it. It really had that awesome feel to it.
Yeah.
I loved the announcer as well. The guns felt great. Just it was just priced way too high. They should have just priced it at like $20 or something like that. I think it was like $60 or something like that when it launched, which was ridiculous for any VR game at the time.
$60? Wow.
Yeah, they launched it so high. It was a really high price. Maybe it was $50, but it was
I honestly
very
do
high.
believe they thought to themselves, we're Ubisoft and it's just an Ubisoft game and people see Ubisoft and
they probably just wanted to recoup their budget back quickly, because it was a fairly small team that was working on it. It was very much a passion project. The main lead is such a fun guy. Like he's brilliant. I can't remember his name now, but he's a legend.
I want to say Andrew, but I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Yeah, he was such a nice guy, but yeah, it's just a shame. It's just a shame, but it hasn't put them off, which is good to know. Hopefully they've learned lessons from it, and they won't make the same mistakes with like Splinter Cell and Assassin's Creed, which they're working on.
Oh yeah. Do you know, if you ever see Space Junkies really cheap, and you've got friends you've got like 3 or 4 friends who will play it, I'd still say pick it up. I think it's a great game. I really, really, really enjoyed it, and
yeah, I
was gutted. It was such high quality. They actually had a lot of things down in there that some games don't even have today, like an interactive lobby that you can mess around in between games. Yeah, it was really cool. Things to unlock.
Funny actually. I played Grapple Tournament the other day, and that felt very much like Space Junkies.
That is an amazing game. That needs more PR. That needs more selling, and it needs to be highlighted a lot more and people to get behind it. They've done some tournaments, but people do need to get in there. Everything does feel already quite balanced.
Yeah, it does. It is coming to Quest, apparently. They are working on it, but I don't think we'll expect it anytime soon. I think it's going to take a while, maybe 6 to 8 months before we see it on Quest.
Great, though.
But it's great potential. Yeah, absolutely. I love the art style.
Yeah.
Everything feels great. Magnum. Oh, I love that gun. Awesome.
What gun do I like? I can't remember which one I like. I think it's the rocket launcher and like the railgun kind of thing. The sniper is absolutely awesome. So yeah, guys, thank you ever so much to all of you for being on the show today. As always, thank you, BMF. Boom, turning up. How you doing, man? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers,
it's been
dude.
A pleasure, always is.
Sean from Render Reality, thank you, man. Thank you for bringing that beard with you today.
It's been awesome, honestly. This has been a ton of fun. I almost love talking about VR as much as I do playing it. So it's been great to be on with you guys, some legends for real. And so thank you for the opportunity. Thanks for inviting me. And it was awesome. Loved it.
Cheers, man. Thank you. And Mike, cheers, man. Thank you ever so much for being on the show.
Thank you for inviting me, man. I've really enjoyed myself. And you guys are great. So keep up the good work.
Keep up the good work. And thank you to everyone in the chat. Without you, there is no show and no one would give a shit. So thank you ever so much for being here. Really appreciate all your time. Stay safe. Look after yourselves. And we'll see you next time. Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.